cast iron is also that frying pan that Papa Melis would never let me use. You gotta cook it and season it properly and all that stuff. Hello, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Hi, Zon. Hi, Ranger. Hi, Blur. I saw Saturn. Hi, Saturn. Oh, my goodness. Now that I've recovered from yesterday, I can share the story. I mean, it's a very short story. How am I doing? Better than yesterday. So basically, y'all know Pep and Mogu, my cats, they're on a diet, right? They go a little crazy in between meals, but they've never been the type to just eat random shit they find. But anyway, I guess the night before, when I took my medicine, I know I dropped a pill, but I thought I got it. I guess I technically dropped 2 pills, because Pep found it. All of a sudden, because the bedroom is still dark, right? So I'm on the computer because I just woke up. I'm like turning everything on. Yeah. And fortunately this story has a happy ending, but yeah. So I hear Pep start making weird noises. So finally I turn the light on and she is foaming at the mouth. and I'm like, oh shit, what did she grab? And so, like, of course, as soon as you try and grab a cat, they're like, oh shit, I gotta run for it. And then, of course, sometimes cats will swallow stuff when you run for it, so I'm like, god damn it. By the time I get her and I check, like, she's drooled all over the house at this point. Nothing in her mouth, and so I'm like, god damn it. So, like, I go back to the computer, because I'm trying to, like, back to the room, trying to figure out what the heck she might have gotten a hold of. And fortunately, the capsule for the medicine was not broken, but I found it in the middle of the floor, and it was soft. Because, you know, it's the type of capsules where you swallow it, your body heat and stuff melts it, and, like, you know, releases the medicine. So she must have tried to eat it, but it tasted so awful. She spat it out, and cats will apparently foam at the mouth like that when they take medicine because they're trying to get rid of the taste. So I'm like, okay, well, if that's what she tried to eat, we're safe. But I'm like, this was at 7 a.m. I'm like, yeah, my day's ruined. I don't know if I have it in me to do anything else. Stream time comes around, I'm like, nah, I'm still not in a good space. The good news is, even if she had ingested the type of medication I'm on, thank God Pepper's fine. That was an emotional roller coaster, right? The one plus side is the type of medicine I'm on is actually occasionally given to dogs and cats as well. So, in theory, like, obviously my dose would be way too high, but, like, the likelihood of it being, like, you know, a fatal dose, if she had gotten appropriate attention quickly, she would have been probably fine, but hi, Zexu. Yeah, I was just, oh my god. Like, that's crazy, because, yeah, they've never tried to eat human food. They've never... Yeah, she got to the meds. Basically, since you missed the very beginning, I'll, like, summarize it. I dropped some of my pills when I went to take them. I thought I got them all. Moral of the story is always count your meds out if you drop any of them, just to be safe. But I mean, I looked to be sure, and these pills are bright orange, so I'm like, I have no idea where it would have rolled off to, and then how Pep managed to find it, but unfortunately, she tried to eat it and it tasted absolutely awful, and either she spat it back out or like she threw it back up. I don't know. But yesterday was exciting. I'm like, okay, I think you're fine. Because, I mean, taking cats to the emergency vet if you don't have to, that's ideal, especially because, oh god, it would have definitely been at least $500. And I just paid out that, I just used all my savings to take the cats to the vet for their regular checkup. I'm like, Mama and Papa and Mellis probably would have lent me the money, but I'm like, this is a lot of gymnastics to do at 7 in the morning. But, like, at least there is emergency vets in the area. There are some places where the nearest emergency vet would be an hour by car. But yeah, she's fine. She's napping away. Like I told Toko on Bluesky, I'm like, she has no idea how close she came to having a very, very bad day. Because, of course, treatment for, you know, ingesting was essentially poison would have been to make her throw up. And, like, you know, eat charcoal and all that stuff. Good grief, girl. I'm like I said, they've never been the type to eat, like, Pep will chew on cables, but, like, she likes the texture. She's not, like, she's never actually tried to eat a cable. So I'm like, this diet's really getting to you guys, huh? You're just scrouching around for anything you can find. Terrible. But yeah, that was yesterday's story. Otherwise, everything's pretty good here. Had lots of naps. Allergies are doing better. I've had the air purifier going. His new model, I'll have to see. I know I saw the mermaid one. I haven't seen any newer ones. New model, man. Still don't have my 2.0. Like I was saying, at this point, I'm probably just gonna start working on 3.0, and if 2.0 ever finally materializes, that's great. I'm tired from hitting up people to do the rigging and then getting, like, ghosted or, like, whatever else. It's like, I'm tired of this. Sometimes things just feel like they're cursed. Especially since originally, the base model without the rigging was supposed to be done within 3 months. And then, it took like a whole year for the person to finally cough up the model. At that point, I just assumed it was never coming. So I'm like, great. And then, like, you know, it's taken me like almost 2 years to finally find someone to rig it. And, like, yeah, it's just the always a cycle. Imbued for like half an hour. No! Oh no. Yeah, some people are lucky and they have a chat that actually tells them when they have audio issues, like you guys tell me. Other people never tell you. I used to assume people don't want to talk. What's the point in streaming if you're not gonna talk? Like... But yeah, there are some people who try and stream without talking. Generally that does not go well. But it is what it is. I at least try and put a note when I'm like, I'm a little low energy today, but it's so interesting that some people just decide to play the game in near total silence. I'm always worried that I thought my League streams would be okay without a mic. Oh, heck no. I mean, you can do it. You might not get much engagement. You might get some people who just follow for whatever reason, but... I mean, Iron Mouse started streaming using the mic in, like, those Apple earbuds. So, I mean, you can start with whatever. You don't need to start with the $200 mic. My starter mic was $50? Somewhere around there. The trick is, the cheaper mic you get, the more you have to do sound treatment in your room to help improve the sound quality, and then conversely, the more high-end your mic goes, the more you have to do treatment, because then the mic is too sensitive. USB mics do okay. My mic does have the output for the Go XL, like the XLR. I would need to get a bigger desk again to be able to have that stuff, because you need, in a lot of cases, you need a lifter, which helps boost it, and then obviously you need oh my god, what is it? Like the soundboard and all of that stuff, the power source. In a lot of cases, you don't want it all too near too many electronics, because then you'll get electrical interference. It's a lot to do. I know Spooky has it, because she was like, well, if I'm gonna do this, I might as well go all in. I'm like, damn. It's like, you're crazy. You're dedicated. But yeah, generally you need at least something. I mean, even when Zon streams, he's usually a little more quiet, but he's got something at least. You need a little something. Otherwise, people would just go look up your game on YouTube and find, like, you know, the playthrough, no commentary. If people are watching a stream, they want to interact with someone. Sometimes I go look for the no commentary ones, mostly when it's like, I want to just see the game and no one that I am into. It's just your headset mic. Yeah, you just need something. Your headset mic sounds decent enough. Like, for someone who only streams occasionally, like, that's really all you need. Like, I went the extra mile because I wanted to make the best of it, and plus, since my voice tends to be so high-pitched anyway, I'm like, I need to make this sound as crisp as possible, because if someone comes into my stream and they hear my voice, and also they hear poor audio quality at the same time, they're gonna click off. Or at least, like, sometimes I would, because, you know, I had friends who were like, oh yeah, I can't watch anime in Japanese because the voices are too high and it bugs me. Like, there are some people out there who have, like, literally, like, you know, the dog... They have, like, dog ears, and if anything's too high-pitched, they're like, I can't. This triggers some kind of rage response in me. I gotta get out of here. Mic audio is really grainy or peaks a lot. I can't really watch. Yeah, same. I totally understand it. I'm very much like that too. Like, if it's a friend, I definitely try my best. But at that point, I'm like, it's like, psst, psst, your mic's not doing very well. Do you need help? Cause yeah, there was one time Iduna was doing a collab with another friend. And for that, just like, I was like, oh, I can't really tune in very much. So I just popped in and their mic audio wasn't great. And I'm like, uh-oh. I'm like, well, they've got other people who are active in chat. Maybe they're actively trying to fix it or something. And like, I had to go back to work, so I click out. And then I hit Iduna up after the stream. I'm like, by the way, the audio was garbage. Did you guys end up fixing that? She's like, we streamed for 3 hours and no one said anything. I'm like, holy shit. I'm like, wow. Some of the people that I saw in the chat, I know are IRL friends of Iduna and this other friend that we're streaming. I'm like, great friends. Great friends, no one tells you anything. I'm like, that's crazy. Meanwhile, in my chat, like, if I don't hit, like, if I switch scenes and, you know, I don't hit mute fast enough, there'll be 3 people going, muted, muted. I mute to blow my nose without saying anything, and then you get people, it's like, Dee Dee, did your mic break? I appreciate you guys telling me about audio stuff more than you know, because yeah, so many people I know, no one says anything. And I'm like, why? It's like, I know in some cases, people are afraid to speak up because they're like afraid they're gonna upset the streamer or something. I'm like, I don't think, like, if a streamer gets upset at you for trying to help them out with the audio quality thing, I think that's a them problem. You probably don't want to be in that chat anyway, because they are probably gonna not be a great time, I think. Because I'm like, I've literally never met a streamer who's a decent person who got mad that someone's like, oh, by the way, like, the game audio's a little too loud, or like, your mic's kind of cutting out. Most streamers not like that, because most streamers were like, we wanna, even if we're not going to try and be professional, this is a creative outlet for us. We wanna do like a decent-ish job. And that's why it's like, I made like almost like a 3-sided house, but not quite. I tried to make a little bit of something like a sound booth, but I don't have, what's the word I'm looking for? I need taller supports, basically. Because what I did is I used an old clothing rack for one side, but because I'm claustrophobic, if the top is too close to my head, then I just get stressed. And I'm like, I need something taller here. But on one side, I have like a weighted blanket thrown over like an old clothing rack, and then I have foam on the wall in front of me. And then on the other side are my curtains, because my window's right there. So I'm like, okay, there's enough. Messy room is actually great for audio quality as well, which is the crazy thing. If before I had the money to get some of the soundproofing stuff, I would just take clothes out of the laundry hamper and just like scatter stuff all over the floor. Cause I have wooden floors, so it's yeah. Cause if you have carpet, that naturally helps a lot. But I don't have carpet. I just have wooden floors, so the more stuff there is in a room, technically the better the sound quality it is. Like, if you can't stream or in a small room or a closet, the next best thing you can do is fill the room with stuff. Because you want to minimize the echo, and the more stuff there is, the more things there are to absorb the sound. You're also claustrophobic? Yeah. Thus, in my debut stream, I'm like, I'm very hilarious as a cat. Like, yeah, I'm afraid of water, that makes sense. But I am also afraid of heights. And I'm claustrophobic. I'm a cat that's like, I'm just gonna lay in the middle of the room. This is my safe spot. Y'all can all just move around me. And that's the thing, right? It's like with the soundproofing stuff, I've literally been in the chat with like a professional streamer who does it for money, and everyone's like, did you get a new like streaming room? The quality's different. And they're like, no, I just got a new rug for the floor. And that's all it took. And that's all it took to make enough of a difference that people are like, what did you do? Did you get a new mic? Like, sound, man. And I mean, Iduna, at one point, at her job, someone was moving out, and co-workers were like, what's with all the egg carton stuff? And Iduna was like, probably a streamer. Because, yeah, the other cheap-ish thing you can do is, you know, when you buy eggs, you keep the cartons, and like some people will just scatter those around the room, or if they're able, they'll like tape them to the walls and stuff like that. It works. I don't know. I'm trying to find like the balance between audio quality and also aesthetics, because my streaming room is also my bedroom, and I'm like, I don't know if I could stand it if I slept in a room that had egg cartons on the wall. I don't know if I could do that. I don't think that's for me. Power to the people who can, but yeah. Alrighty. Knocking stuff off the desk, because of course I am. We've got some murdering to get to. Well, who knows when the murdering's gonna actually happen. They're gonna have to do another, like, exposition. If I know you Kishinana well enough, we're about to have, like, this whole weird explanation scene after having already an explanation, but then also we're gonna have Battler being a dumb boy. Oh, there's the seagulls. There we go. I still don't see how these are supposed to be like sea cats. These do not sound like cat noises to me. I don't know. Maybe the cats of ancient Japan were really squawky. Yes. I like how everyone's got the same pose. Like, we have Kraus, and then Battler. Same pose! Just different body type. Everyone's got their left hand in their pants pocket. Why? I don't know. Try to hold on to their wallet, maybe. Ah, that beautiful pixelated ocean. So on the 10th twilight, the journey ends, and you reach the Golden Land. You really are diligent, Maria. You did a good job writing this all down. Ooh! I forget a lot, so I always write things down. Mood. Mama told me to. There was a notebook inside the handbag Maria was always carrying around. And Beatrice's epitaph was copied onto it. Into it? Onto it? I guess. I don't know. I feel like into it would be more natural, but what do I know? Thanks to that, we were all able to challenge the puzzle of the epitaph while walking down this beach. Jessica and the rest had already tried to solve it several times, and had already gotten bored with it. Wow, not the boredom. However, since this was a first time for me, I was so excited that I couldn't stop. It really tickled my sense of adventure. Yes, the sense of adventure. Where it talks about how you have to kill someone. Like, every day for like 10 nights. Let's start with the first line. Behold the sweet fish river running through my beloved hometown. Where was grandfather's hometown again? I heard that before the war, the Ushinomiya family had a mansion near Odawara, which makes you want to know which sweet fish river flows through Odawara, right? No, because he's from a branch family. He never lived in that mansion. Yeah, because the river would be the starting place. Anyone searching for the Golden Land would head down that and search for the key. What's this river in Odawara? Does it have sweet fish swimming in it? If you're looking for sweet fish in Odawara, it'd have to be Hayakawa. It's famous for its mountain stream fishing. Ugh, I hate fish. Maria, you'll understand when you get a bit older. Salty roasted... Ooh, Badler, you're being weird. Even though we just ate, I'm getting hungry again. Shall I bring you a biscuit? Huh? Oh, sorry, that's not what I meant. Don't mind it. Shannon-chan was faithfully keeping us company since she didn't have any afternoon chores for a while. I would have thought that since she's a servant, accompanying us would force her to take care of us and tire her out, but that didn't seem to be the case for her. On the contrary, she seemed to enjoy joining in on a conversation with people close to her age. When I asked, I heard that she was the sort of worker whose room and board were supplied by her employer. So normally, the only person close to her in age was Jessica. Yeah, I can imagine how that might be pretty dull. Okay, so I get that the sweet fish-filled river near Odawara is Hayakawa. In that case, we've got to go down it. Do you find anything if you head down Hayakawa River? If you follow it downstream, you'll arrive at the ocean. Of course you'd reach the mouth of the river. And the third line of the epitaph says, as you will travel down it, you will see a village. By the way, since long ago, the mouths of rivers have been key points of transportation, and large cities tend to be built there. That'd be the next checkpoint. That's a pretty good theory. Just like you guessed, there's an old city there that was very prosperous in ancient times. That's where Odawara Castle is. I think I might have gone to Odawara Castle on a field trip once. It really was a wonderful castle. Yeah, I also went there. Even though I live in a Western-style house, it's true that Japanese people feel calmer with a Japanese layout. Really? I don't know about that. Castles are boring? Damn, Maria. Why are you like this? Theme parks are better. I see. Okay. If we find the gold, the Great Battler Sama will generously reserve a whole theme park for a day and let you play in it. It's like that episode of, that part in Persona 5 where Haru's family just rented out Disneyland for the day. Still, Odawara Castle, huh? The hidden gold of Odawara Castle. Oh? It's actually starting to sound pretty good. Well, we figured out that much 2 years ago. The village down the river where the sweet fish swim in Odawara. We figured it was probably somewhere near Odawara Castle. The problem is the next line. Alright, let's see where Battler's strange reasoning can take him. Jessica grinned broadly. She seemed to be implying that she would have solved the puzzle long ago if it was that easy. Oh, you guys are searching in the wrong place. Y'all are forgetting that because Grandpa was from a branch family. So, I mean, he might not have ever lived in Odawara. Damn it. I'll definitely find it and keep it all for myself. The fourth line. In that village, look for the shore the two will tell you of. I don't know what it means by the two, but anyway, the shore. What does it mean by the shore? No, wait. Is there any place near there with shore or kishi in its name? I've heard there's a place called Sogakishi in Odawara. Huh? Wow, you should know a lot about it. What could that mean? Shanan-chan, are you trying to solve the riddle and get the gold too? That makes us rivals. It's not like I'm interested in gold. It's just that George-sama told me about it before. That's because we reached the same conclusion 2 years ago. We even went to the trouble of laying out a map and looking it up. It was about 5 kilometers to the north of Odawara. We definitely found a place called Sogakishi there. However, after that, we get stuck. The fifth line doesn't say where the key is hidden in that place. Maria-chan, could you read it for us? Ugh. There sleeps the key to the Golden Land. Ugh! I could read it! Sogakishi is probably large. There wasn't ever any house built there by the Ushiromiya family. Not much we can do to find a key in such a vast area without hints. Literally, you guys are barking up the wrong tree. You're right. Without the key, we can't advance to the next line. George Aniki, what kind of place is Sogakishi? Let's see. I've never been there, so I don't really know. But according to the map, it's in the mountains. I'm pretty sure it was at the base of Mount Asama. Something doesn't feel right. You'd expect a riddle pointing the way to hidden gold to be a bit more exact. I get the feeling that even the part about Sogakishi was a mistake. Thank you, Paddler! Well, I think it could be Sogakishi. It could be talking about some house that grandfather lived in when he was a kid that we don't know about. After all, the first line mentioned his beloved hometown. Shannon, you've served grandfather alcohol and stuff lots of times, right? Hasn't he ever talked to you about his past? Master almost never speaks of the past. However, He talks of the Great Kanto earthquake as though it was someone else's story. So he may have been living far away from the Kanto area. The Ushinomiya family may have been living in Odawara, but not all of the branch families were. Grandfather often called himself part of a branch family, the least connected to the successor. And that means the beloved hometown might not even be Odawara at all. It took y'all so long to get to this point. I've never even heard anything about Grandfather's hometown, and I doubt he'd actually tell me if I asked. If the so-called beloved hometown isn't referring to the Ushinomiya family roots, then the Odawara theory is wrong from the beginning. Of course, this doesn't completely remove the possibility that it was Soga Kishi. For example, perhaps he lived in Odawara when he was very young, but then moved far away later. Ugh. I don't understand what you're all talking about. Ugh. Maria had been completely left out of the conversation, and she now sat puffing out her cheeks in boredom. Well, hang in there, Maria. So, basically, if we can't even agree on the starting point for this dice game of gold, we're totally stuck. Yup. But wait. After the first 5 lines, the thing we end up finding is a key, right? Even if you don't have a key, it's always possible to bust through a door. Can't we just skip the first 5 lines and start figuring out the rest? Ooh, I hadn't thought of that. Oh well, we're just wasting time anyway. Let's hear the rest of Battler's reasoning. But in the next part, it gets dark really fast. Shannon-chan frowned slightly, after looking back at Maria's notebook to recall what was written there. Yeah, I was forced to agree. On the first twilight, offer the 6 chosen by the key as sacrifices. It sure does get horrible quickly. On the second twilight, it says to tear apart the 2 who are close. Does that mean to make them break off their loving relationship? Or, you know, literally tear them to pieces, maybe? Or does it mean to literally tear them apart? I don't know, but either way, it's pretty disgusting. Even if we set that second line aside and mention 6 people for the first twilight, then 5 people for the 4th through 8 twilights. So at least 11 people must be sacrificed. Ugh, there's sacrifices to revive Beatrice! I see. Sacrifices to restore the witch. Yeah, that's what it means. Near the end, the witch will be revived on the 9th twilight. That last part is guaranteed. On the 9th twilight, the witch shall revive, and none shall be left alive. So everyone will die in the end. And after that, the 10th twilight is the goal line. Not sure how you're supposed to reach the Golden Land if everyone's dead by then. Depending how you interpret it, the traveler who holds the key may or may not be included in the none shall be left alive part. But at the end, there's something pretty interesting. After reaching the goal, the witch gives out 4 treasures. 1 shall be all the gold. The problem is the next one. It says the dead souls will be resurrected, right? Doesn't that sound like it means everyone who died in the earlier lines? If you put it like that, then the part about reviving lost love might refer to the pair torn apart on the second twilight. That's right. And the 4th line refers to the 9th twilight. The 4th treasure is putting the witch revived on the 9th twilight to sleep. If we put a happy spin on this, it'll be hectic with people dying and breaking up all over the place, but it'll be made right at the end. If only reviving people were that easy, huh? If only people didn't die when they were killed. The awakened witch will sleep again, and everything will be like it was at the start, except for the huge pile of gold. The witch must be pretty busy, what with all this killing, reviving, breaking up, and reuniting people. If only, if only. Not to mention waking up and sleeping. Sheesh, just when the tale of the hidden gold was getting interesting, it all gets pretty dubious once the witch starts showing up. Too true. I laughed along with Jessica. After all, the idea of a witch was just too ridiculous. Maria is right there. Of course, once we started laughing like that, Maria, who believed in the witch, got angry. I knew it. Ugh! The witch is incredible. She can do anything with magic. Even kill. Even bring back to life. Even give love. Even take it. She can fly in the sky, can become invisible, can even make golden bread out of nothing. She's Jesus Christ. But my bad, we were just joking. Jessica apologized, sticking out her tongue, but Maria didn't accept it. She grabbed her notebook back out of my hands and opening to some other pages, tried to prove that the witch existed. Those pages had colorful drawings of witches on them, and well conveyed the fantastical image Maria had of witches. It wasn't the normal sinister image of a crooked-nosed hag flying around on a broom, but a dreamlike person with unnatural powers who could do anything and wore a beautiful dress. Pretty Cure wasn't around in the 80s, but this just sounds like she watched Pretty Cure. It was just what you'd expect from an imaginative young girl. Flitting through the sky, crossing a rainbow. Hey! Happy Pride Month! Dancing around all night with a teacup and a teapot that would never get empty no matter how much you poured out of it. With a flourish of her staff, the stars in the sky would become candy and pour down, and flowers that produced sweets would bud by the roadside. To Maria, witches were the only concept that could embody the magical dream that so captivated her. As she grew older, it was the last remaining thing that could give richness to her dull and plain everyday life. That's why Maria believed in witches. She didn't want that dream of hers to be tarnished. That's why she didn't want anyone to tarnish the epitaph, which affirmed the existence of witches. Because the witch named Beatrice is Maria's dream. To Maria-chan, the epitaph isn't a guide to the hidden gold, but magic to revive the witch. So it was the single link between Maria and the witch. Maria was very angry and clung to George Aniki. Jessica and I scratched our heads and apologized. It might not be possible to smooth things over again like the time she got mad in front of the portrait. Maria didn't seem willing to be easily consoled. Unlike Jessica and I, who hung our heads wondering what to do, Shannon-chan timidly opened her mouth. Maria-sama, did you know? There's a ghost story about Beatrice that has been passed down amongst the servants. Oh? Yeah, that's right. Shannon-chan, tell us about it. I don't really know, but it's apparently pretty famous among the servants. What is this? A ghost story? Yes. Seems it's a story from before we were born. I also heard about it from my mother. Yes. It has been passed down since the time of the mansion's construction. The servants of that time whispered that the mansion had two masters, one of the day and one of the night. The tale that Shannon told was just like a typical campfire ghost story. If there was a forest with a witch living inside it, then of course the witch would come pay the mansion a visit from time to time. At some point, this ghost story naturally sprouted up between the servants. Excuse me. When people do the rounds a second time to check doors, windows, and locks that were supposedly closed, they'd find some of them left open. Lights that were supposed to be off were turned on. and lights that were supposed to be on went out. Things left lying around would disappear. And things would appear when no one had any memory of putting them there. When any of these things happened, the old servants would say that the witch had paid the mansion invisible. Or, sorry, the witch had visited the mansion invisible and was playing pranks. Oh, see? She exists! Beatrice exists! Yeah, she exists. Long ago, it was always right before school, leaving for school, that I wasn't able to find my bag and stuff. Maria puffed out her chest with an ooh, as though this was final proof of the witch's existence. If I opened my mouth, Maria would probably be hurt again, so I didn't. I mean, you hear this kind of story everywhere. Depending on the place, they might blame it on a dwarf or an elf. The only difference is that they call it a witch on this island. Of course, walking around a vast, elegant mansion at night would be a little unsettling. It's an island devoid of people. Since the mansion is so drafty, walking around on the night of a thunderstorm would certainly be eerie. In addition, some servants have also seen will-o'-the-wisps and glittering butterflies dancing around. Kanonkan also saw something like that when he went patrolling one night. And recently, you often hear servants talking about strange footsteps heard inside the mansion near midnight. We've whispered together that Beatrice Sama in the portrait sometimes makes herself invisible and walks through the mansion. It happened a while ago. But even I have heard footsteps while patrolling at night that resemble these stories. Whew! That's scary. But there's nothing to be afraid of. Beatrice Sama is another ruler of this mansion, separate from the master. So there's no need to be unnaturally afraid. If you respect her, I hear she won't do anything bad. However, she can be quite terrifying if you don't respect her, right? Correct. I've heard that just before I began working here, someone who spoke badly about Beatrice Sama fell down the stairs and quit after receiving a large injury to their back. Oof. Because of that, there was a rumor between the servants that Beatrice Sama had been brought down upon this person. It's more like Grandpa pushed them down the stairs. Oh, anger will definitely be brought down on Battler and Jessica. Maria's gonna regret this when they die. Ugh. I'm sorry. I don't want her anger brought down upon me. I apologize, Maria. Of course, I also apologize to the witch. I'm sorry, Beatrice Sama. Please forgive an outsider's nonsense. I apologize as well. I'm sorry, Beatrice Sama. Will the witch be able to forgive us now? Ugh. Don't know. Witches are fickle, so they forgive when they want to, and don't when they don't. Ugh. That's no good. Maria-chan, isn't there some kind of good luck charm that could prevent Battler-kun and Jessica-chan from suffering Beatrice Sama's wrath? Maybe something that can block against magic? By relying on Maria, who was proud of knowing the most about witches, George was trying to revive her self-esteem. Once again, gotta admire his ability to calm kids down. After taking a moment to cross her arms and seriously ponder whether there might be a charm that could save us, she started flipping through the pages in her notebook. I thought it was just a scribbled diary, but there also seemed to be quite a few pages that looked like they'd come from a book on black magic. Oh god. She's just like Grandpa. Maria solemnly considered a group of these pages which contained things that looked like magic circles. Apparently Grandfather wasn't the only one with a black magic hobby. When Maria finally found what she was looking for, she snapped the notebook shut and threw it into her handbag. She then began fishing through the bag's contents. There seemed to be various jumbled up things in there. After a while, she took out various pieces of junk, although they were probably important magical items to Maria. and repeatedly threw them back in, saying they were wrong. Just dump the bag on the floor, ma'am. It was all a little humorous, just like when Doraemon took out the wrong tool. Finally, she seemed to discover what she was looking for. With a face that was unimaginably cheery when compared to the intense expressions she had worn till now, she held those out to Jessica and me. Ugh! I grabbed it and saw it was a very cheap-looking charm. It looked like a bracelet made from a plastic rosary, with a scorpion-themed medal attached. Haven't you ever seen those cheap Zodiac-themed accessories? The kind you might win in a crane game at an arcade? Uh-huh, so the Scorpio is for... or the Scorpion is for Scorpio. It really looked like something like that. Actually, hold on one sec. It doesn't show their birthdays. I was gonna say, is Battler a Scorpio? Is that why she gave him that one? There were two of them. Probably one for me and one for Jessica. However, the very fact there were two of them made them feel even more like cheap manufactured goods, making it pretty hard to think of them as magical items. You're giving these to me and Battler? Ugh! With these charms, you don't even need to worry about Beatrice. For someone who reveres the witch so much, she's pretty rude, just, you know, calling her by her first name only, no honorific. Hang on, I'm gonna see if his birthday's listed anywhere else. Nope, he's a Cancer. His birthday's in July, so irrelevant. She did not give him the matching Zodiac bracelet. Because Scorpions have the power to ward off magic. Huh, really? Didn't know Scorpions could do that. Battler doesn't believe! I'd said too much and angered Maria again. Maria took out her notebook again, pointing out various pages as she went on and on about how the Scorpion has such incredible holy power. It had been used in magic-repelling magical circles since ancient times. I've heard about that from some of the other young servants. Something about how the Scorpion is drawn as a magic-repelling symbol in sorcery. Huh, really? Oh! Scorpion protects against bad magic and calamity. An emerald brings peace to the heart. Therefore, its effects are twofold. It's true. The Scorpion wraps around the emerald and protects it. Yes, that certainly does sound like it'd work well. I really wanted to make fun of these worthless-looking charms. But as I watched Maria explaining with all of her heart and realized that she'd found them for our sakes, I started to feel like it might actually work, even if it was just a prize from some game center. The material quality of the charm didn't matter. What mattered was the strength of her feelings. That is how magic works. Even I don't think of myself as the sort of loser who'd laugh at something like that. Okay, thank you. I apologize to Beatrice-sama, but even if I do end up getting cursed, I'll be safe now thanks to Maria's charm. Right, Jessica? Yeah, that's right. Thanks, Maria. Ooh! Wear it on your arm when you want your heart to be at peace. Put it in your wallet and your money won't decrease. If you hang it from a doorknob, bad things can't get in. It's a really convenient charm. What an incredible effect! If Maria-sama gives it her confident seal of approval, then it surely must be reliable. You know what they say, cure-alls cure nothing. There's no magic that's a panacea. They can do one thing usually. And it depends on what you were wishing for when you blessed it, so, Press F to doubt. Shanan-chan clapped her hands together and Maria stuck out her chest. She was totally in a good mood again. It's probably best if we let her lead the conversation a bit longer, if it'll keep her in such a good mood. Kind of think of it, she looked a bit bored when we were getting excited about the hidden gold, probably because she couldn't keep up. While eating the cookies Kumasawa-san had baked, Jessica and I asked Maria this and that about black magic. Maria happily chatted away in response to our questions. Each time, George, Aniki, and Shanan-chan would act surprised or chime in. The clouds in the sky grew darker and darker. But we cousins really enjoyed communicating freely after a year of separation. Well, in Battler's case, it was more than 1 year. Did I just feel a drop on my forehead? Huh? I wonder. As George Aniki rubbed his forehead, he looked up at the sky. Considering the color of the sky and the dampness of the air, it wouldn't have been odd for a raindrop to hit him. The wind also seemed to have grown a bit stronger. Oh, I did feel a drop. Only I didn't. Oh! Don't worry, neither did I. Anyway, I'm sure it'll rain so much tonight that everyone will get to feel plenty of raindrops. That's right. Maybe we should head back soon. Shanan-chan looked down at her watch. It was probably well into the evening by now. Is it already time for you to return to your work? Yes. Thank you very much for allowing me to enjoy some time together with you all. Tell Kumasawa-san thanks for the cookies. Okay, everyone, help out with the cleanup. Shanan-chan declined our help, saying that this was a servant's job. But picking up dropped forks before the waitress has it is pretty much my purpose in life. What a nice guy. He folded up the blanket, gathered up the trash, and helped clean everything up. Oh! The trash is getting away! I won't let it escape! I'll grab it before Maria does! I'll grab it! Maria, don't get your shoes wet, you'll get in trouble! To Maria, chasing after some trash sent flying by the powerful winds was just another game. By the time we finished, the wind was blowing pretty strongly. Probably a good time to head back. You've all helped me out a lot. Thank you very much. It looks like you're really out of time. It's okay if you head back first. George Aniki perceived from her hurried appearance that very little of her free time was left. Genji-san's very strict about time. If you don't show up where you're supposed to be at the right time, I bet he'll be pissed. We'll see you later. Do your best with your work. Yes. Then, if you'll excuse me. After making a respectful bow, Shanan-chan ran towards the rose garden. Okay, let's head back to the guest house. We can watch TV or something to relax a little. You think there's TV in this place? Satellite TV didn't exist, buddy. I don't think you can get a signal here. Wanna watch TV? Then it's decided. Let's all head back and watch TV. Apparently they do have TV. Joke's on me. Maria, who wasn't done having fun, agreed once television was mentioned. We climbed up the gentle stairs and returned to the rose garden. The wind had grown very strong, and roses shook throughout the garden like ripples on the water. This might be our last chance to see these beautiful roses. I'll bet tonight's typhoon ruins them. Well, that is how it goes. The roses might be done in by tonight's winds. You're right. Still, I think the roses were pretty lucky. After all, they got to welcome all of you before the typhoon. All flowers lose their petals eventually. But that means we can admire them even more when they're in bloom. That's right. Maria, burn this image into your eyes. At this moment, they're the best roses of the year. Ugh. Burned into eyes. No, not like that, girl. Right then, Maria suddenly clapped her hands. It looked like she'd remembered something. My rose! The typhoon will send it flying! Oh! You mean that sad-looking rose George Aniki marked with a ribbon? Damn. Don't say it like that. Maria apparently remembered where the rose was. She ran at full speed. The rest of us followed her. Oh? Oh! Where was that again? I'm sure it was somewhere around here. We searched everywhere around the area, but it was only a single flower among all these roses after all. Even though we knew it was somewhere close by, we weren't able to find it. The winds making up the typhoon's front line made roses throughout the garden undulate. It was almost like it was teasing us by making the location of Maria's rose impossible to find. Maybe it wasn't here. Let's try spreading out a bit in our search. Sounds good? Let's go for strength in numbers. What's up, Maria? As we made to split up the search, Maria tugged on my jacket with an unhappy face. You could tell she didn't want us to leave that spot. What is it? What's wrong? Ugh. My rose is here. It's here. But it's actually not, right? Maybe it was on the other side of the flower bed. If we all look, we'll find it fast, okay? It's here! My rose is here! Look for it! Maria stomped her feet in irritation. She pointed at that spot and said it was definitely there, but in actuality it wasn't. Even so, Maria got mad when we said we were going to search elsewhere. We were at a loss for what to do. For a while, we had to stay near Maria and pretend to search through that rose thicket. Girly is crazy. Ugh. Not here. Not here! Maybe she's saying that it should be here, but isn't? Maria became increasingly irritated. Oh man. Maria's really losing her temper. Sometimes Maria starts to really care about really pointless stuff. If she gets what she wants, that's okay, but you can't find something that isn't there. That's not good. Just when we were at a loss of what to do, Maria called out in a loud voice. Mama! Oh God. I was just thinking that maybe Goda used the rose for their dessert, because, I mean, it was kind of wrecked anyway. Maybe she wanted to look at the garden one more time before the typhoon came. Or maybe she had some business at the guest house. Aunt Rosa was coming from the mansion. She quickly noticed her daughter's voice and came over. My, what happened, everyone? Are you looking for something? Look for it! Mama, you look for my rose, too! Your rose? We found an unhealthy rose around here and marked it. We tied a candy wrapper around it, but... Maria, if I remember correctly, it was growing right in front and really stood out, didn't it? Unless it grew legs and ran off somewhere, it must have been somewhere else. Maybe you remembered it wrong. It is here! Butler doesn't believe! Good grief. How many times do I have to tell you to stop saying ooh, ooh before you'll understand? Mama will look for it, so stay quiet. I've never seen Aunt Rosa be anything other than kind and gentle, so her anger surprised me a bit. I mean, at this point you gotta be a little stern, because this kid is losing it. Aunt Rosa began searching as well, so we went along with her for the time being. But we were already more than sure that it wasn't around here. So it did take long for Aunt Rosa to realize that too. The rose isn't here. Did you mistake this place for somewhere else? There were so many roses around. That's wrong! It is here! Yo! I already believed you and looked for it, didn't I? But it isn't here. But it is! It is here, but it isn't! Then someone must have ripped it out. Anyway, stop saying ooh, ooh. Who ripped out my rose? Who did it? Give it back! This is crazy. Well, I mean, she is 9 years old, but oh my goodness. How should I know? Stop it. Stop saying ooh, ooh. Ooh. Aunt Rosa slapped Maria's left cheek with her palm. I mean, no need to hit her, but she did say stop like 3 times. In that instant, Maria was shocked into silence. Of course, it was only for an instant. When Maria realized that her wish was being rejected, she started yelling even louder. My rose! My rose! Did I tell you to stop that weird habit? That's why all the kids in your class make fun of you. Cut it out! Whoa, okay. Once was too much. Doing it twice, this is just getting out of hand. Once again, her palm slapped Maria's cheek. This time, she didn't go silent. She choked as she started crying and began to bawl in an increasingly loud voice. Aunt Rosa was clearly irritated and lifted her hand one more time to try and shut her daughter up. Aunt Rosa? Come on, she's just a little kid. There's no reason to get so serious. I tried to cut in with a bitter smile, rubbing my hands together. But Aunt Rosa glared at me with the serious face, and I realized that I should have stayed out of this. I'm sorry, but could the rest of you go back to your room for a bit? I need to have a little talk with Maria. Nobody believes in my rose. We do! It's just not here. What do you want them to do? Even though it was here. Look for it. We have been. But it's not here. So you must have confused this place for somewhere else, right? Then it disappeared. Give it up! Why? Why did it disappear? Why? I don't know that. Stop saying ooh ooh. Aunt Rosa once again raised her hand, overcome by emotion, and slapped Maria's cheek. I think she's still pissed about the whole Kraus thing. It was strong enough to knock Maria over. Hey, Aunt Rosa, even if she is your daughter, violence isn't the answer. I stepped between them to protect Maria, who was still on the ground crying. I knew that as an outsider, problems between a parent and child were none of my business. But I wasn't brought up to just silently observe something like this. Don't you think it's weird, Battler-kun? Aren't there any girls at your school who mutter ooh ooh? Well, I am in high school. But for an elementary schooler, I think saying ooh ooh is pretty cute. Cute? Saying ooh ooh is cute? Cute? My careless words seemed to have earned me Aunt Rosa's wrath. She grabbed my collar with a terrifying expression. Don't say such nonsense. Do you know how old Maria is? She's 9. She's a 4th grader, not a kindergartner. But she still makes that sound during class. Don't you get it? Do you know what they say about this kid when they bully her? Thanks to this weird habit, she still hasn't made a single friend. Don't turn your eye from reality and carelessly call Maria cute. Think more seriously about this kid's future. Damn. This is a little intense. I mean, Sakura in Choreographer Sakura said weird stuff as well, and she had a lot of friends. I think this is just the school's problem. Did I tell you to stop it? Aunt Rosa struck Maria's quivering head, from which an increasingly unhappy voice was rising. I tried to stop it, but Aunt Rosa pushed me away. My back hit George Aniki. A long time ago, Aunt Rosa also thought of it as nothing more than one of Maria-chan's baby words. But now that it hasn't been fixed even midway through elementary school, she's been worrying about it a lot. How she talks isn't really that big of a deal, right? She'll never make it as an adult if she's like that. So even though it isn't fun to watch, this is a problem between parent and child. Yeah, beating someone to make them stop something is not gonna work. Well, even I get chewed out by Mom all the time because of how I talk. When they put it that way, maybe even a scene as painful as this isn't something an outsider like me should butt in on. I don't like how they're just excusing Rosa beating the shit out of her daughter. Battler-kun, when you were a kid, did you have any bad habits that you couldn't fix and that got you into trouble? Well, 1 or 2. On Parents' Day, once I kept getting yelled at in front of everyone and it was embarrassing as hell. Well, then you can understand how the 2 of them must feel right now. I'm sure they don't want us to be here now. You understand too, don't you, Jessica? I don't think anyone likes to be seen when they're being scolded. Let's go. We'll return to the guest house. Then after Maria-chan comes back, let's welcome her as if nothing happened. That's probably for the best, isn't it? We thought George Aniki's point was probably a reasonable one, and we may have been eager to use that reasonable-sounding argument as a justification to retreat from this heart-rending scene. Bunch of cowards! Jessica and I nodded at George Aniki, and we all left. We called towards Maria, telling her that we were going back to the guest house. But she didn't seem to hear, and we felt sort of guilty and shameless after saying it. In that case, look by yourself as much as you want. Mama doesn't care. I'll look for it. I'll look for it by myself. Even if Mama doesn't care. Have it your way. After blasting her with those last few words, Rosa spun on her heels and quickly returned to the mansion. Damn. You guys could have just stuck around then if the argument was gonna end that fast. Maria probably viewed that as a cold gesture meant to injure. But that wasn't Rosa's intention. It was because the hand with which she had emotionally struck Maria's cheek was still numb. It was because if she stayed there screaming, she might again be overcome by emotions and continue slapping her daughter's cheek over and over. You know, if you're gonna start regretting beating the shit out of your kid, maybe you shouldn't do that. God. After Rosa left, Maria was left alone in the rose garden. The wind began to blow stronger and stronger, and every once in a while, a raindrop would fall on her forehead. However, Maria couldn't leave that place, not until she found that poor, wilting rose. It had definitely been there. Even so, it wasn't. Even though she knew the place, and even though it had been there, it wasn't. Maria bitterly stared at the place it was supposed to be and thought frantically. Maybe the angle I'm looking from is wrong. Maybe the height I'm looking from is wrong. While gazing at a single point, Maria repeatedly stood up, changed her position, and continued to stare. The wind was getting stronger and stronger. Maria kept on looking for that rose in front of the flower bed. And they just left a child out there in the storm. And then she got hypothermia and died. Kinzo noticed the sound of the raindrops beating on the window. It seemed to be pouring down thickly. It had begun to rain later than the weather report had predicted. Kinzo approached the window as if being summoned by the sound of the rain. The sound of rain is the sound of silence. The sound feels quieter than any silence. This is actually a really nice track. They picked a good rain noise. And it makes humans remember that, in the end, they are alone from the moment they're born to the moment they die. That is not what rain makes me feel, but okay. You're late, Beatrice. Were those words directed at the rainy sky? There was no one to be seen in the direction of Kinzo's gaze. Well then, let us begin. Let us begin our banquet of miracles. This island has now been cut off from the world. Now, there are none who can interrupt my ceremony. There are many fitting sacrifices for you. 4 of my children, 3 of their companions, 4 of my grandchildren, me and my guests and my servants. You may devour as many as you please. The key of fate will select the sacrifices in accordance with the demon's roulette. If that roulette chooses me, even I will become your sacrifice. However, because of that, because I will bet on such madness, I will most assuredly bring forth a grand miracle. Come, devour to your heart's content. I will achieve victory over that roulette. Yes, I'll put everything on the line. First, I'll return the inheritance of the Ushinomiya family. Accept it! Kinzo tore the window open, ripping a gold ring off his finger, and forcefully threw it away. At that time, the sound of thunder ran out, giving the illusion that the lightning had accepted the ring. And when you are resurrected, surely I will be the one who stands witness. I will survive until the end and watch over you as you awaken. So come, Beatrice. Welcome to my banquet. In exchange for all that I have created, show me another miracle. Just this once. Oh, Beatrice! Why is he like this? Oh, here we go. It's 5 p.m. Now it's 6 p.m. And thus the murders commenced. A news ticker popped up on top of the TV program we were watching. The disaster report told how many municipalities all over were continually sending out rain, flood, and wave warnings. Of course, the raindrops beating harshly against the window were even more convincing. This rain's incredible. Still, when it's raining this hard, it also feels like it might stop at any moment. You wish. They said the typhoon's moving slow, so it might be like this all day tomorrow. And even a little bad weather stops the boats from coming. Looks like we won't be able to head out on Sunday after all. Just in case, I cleared all outside business from my Monday schedule, and I'm glad I did. Which means, looks like we get to skip school Monday! Living on an island's starting to sound pretty good. Come to think of it, Jessica, you've got to take a boat to school every day, don't you? What do you do when the boats stop running? Do you stay home when it rains and show up late when the wind's blowing like King Kamehameha? If the boats don't come, I stay home. Still, it's not as good as it sounds. Usually I'm ordered to study by myself. And it's not that fun with someone standing right behind you watching everything you do. During the rainy season, does the weather ever stay bad for a long time? And make you miss a bunch of days in a row? That does happen sometimes. Still, I'd get a call from my homeroom teacher every single day who'd sourly guide me on how I should teach myself and what I had to turn in. She can't skip school as easily as you're imagining, like, cunt. She's got to follow the rules for people that travel to school by boat and get a good amount of studying done. It'd actually be easier to just go to school. In my own room, I get distracted and can't concentrate. After being made to do nothing but workbooks for several days straight, it's pretty hard to handle all that mental stress. When I get into college, I really just want to go to some dorm and quickly say goodbye to this inconvenient island. Okay. By the way, what do you do when the weather's good in the morning, but then it gets so bad on your way home that the boats are closed? Do you spend the night at school? That actually happens a lot. Because of that, they've built some lodgings there for people who can't get back to the island they live on. That's where you spend the night. Sometimes, when it gets really bad, you can't go back home for a few days at a time. Someone commuting to school or work on a train packed to twice its capacity might carelessly think that commuting by boat would be pretty interesting and fun. Hello, LP! Good morning, afternoon, evening! But it sounds like it comes with troubles of its own. You hear thoughtless tourists saying stuff like that all the time. I've had enough of this island life. I really want to just graduate high school and say goodbye to this island. Too bad you're all gonna die! But there are all dorm schools even for high school, right? Why'd you choose that Nijima school of all places? I don't think it was her choice. I've wanted to go to one of those from the beginning. But Mom's always going on about how I need to learn manners and discipline as the successor. So I ended up sticking close to home even for high school. Man, I hate this island. Just want to go live in a city. I don't care if rain or even spears fall from the sky as long as I can move to a city where I can wear casual clothes and sandals. And can get to a convenience store in less than 5 minutes. Hold out just a little longer. Just a bit more and you'll graduate high school, right? Oh, I can't wait a little longer. Ah! Jessica stretched out and reclined in the sofa. Maybe it was a bad time slot because there weren't any interesting programs on. And we had nothing to do but languidly kill time until we were called for dinner. After that episode, Maria never returned to the cousin's room at all, after all. And Rosa probably took her back to the mansion. Oh no, she is still out there. It had to be pretty boring for Maria, all by herself while the adults had a confusing conversation. We thought we might as well head over to the mansion to see her, but the weather really was awful. And since there wasn't much time until dinner, we stayed where we were. At that time, we heard the sound of a humble knock. Jessica answered. Yes! The preparations for dinner are complete. Please come to the mansion. It was Kanonkan's voice. Did he go to all the trouble of coming from the mansion in this rain just to get us? Could he have just called us on the telephone? Well, I guess servants at work don't always get to take the most efficient route. Just when I was getting hungry. Let's go. Georgianiki turned off the television and stood up. My stomach's been growling for a while. I've always been a huge fan of the main family's dinners. And did it go to San say it was calf steak or something? Ooh, can't wait. Our dinners are always even more fabulous than usual when the family's conference comes around. Even I'm looking forward to it. Let's go, let's go! And no one remembered Maria. As we left the room, Kanonkan bowed silently and respectfully. Okay, let's go. Is the rain pretty nasty out there? Yes. Take care not to get your garments wet. After seeing the three of us out, Kanonkan peered into the empty room. Was it Maria-sama with you? Oh, LGBTQIA didn't know that yet? Yes, I am a lesbian. Girls only. Well, girls and assigned female at birth. No, she's not. Wasn't she with Aunt Rosa? Surprise! She is not. Rosa was lying on a sofa in the empty parlor, having fallen asleep before she knew it. She was bearing a burden that the children couldn't even imagine. That's why she only needed to let her guard down a little before the weariness immediately dragged her into the world of sleep. Realizing this, Genji brought a blanket over to her. When he tried to spread it over her, her eyes snapped open as though she'd been shocked with electricity. Ah! Girl, you guys are allowed to chat, obviously. I just only date girls, that's all. I am pretty sure 95% of my followers are guys. Ah, thank you, Genji-san. When she realized that the thing that had touched her was just a blanket, that Genji had been considerately giving it to her, she let out a sigh of relief. Did I wake you? My sincere apologies. No, it's okay. I hadn't planned on sleeping in the first place. What time is it now? When he asked for the time, Genji checked a pocket watch that he took out of his chest pocket. It is slightly after 6. Rosa gave her head a little shake when she realized not much time had passed, even though it felt like she'd slept for ages. Even though she didn't feel rested at all, the drowsiness that had enveloped her must have been pretty deep. Thank you. I'll be fine without the blanket. I mustn't sleep at such a strange time. My sense of time has been completely thrown off. The rain. has finally started pouring down in earnest, hasn't it? Rosa finally realized that the peaceful sound that had put her to sleep was actually the rain. The wind's blowing hard, too. I wonder if the typhoon's finally here. That's what they said on TV. The typhoon is moving slowly, so they think it will be like this all day tomorrow. Really? So our last chance to see that wonderful rose garden must have already have passed. From the window, what she could see of the rose garden was completely blurred by the wind and the rain. Maria. That's right! What about Maria? Your phone's about to die? Okay. Thank you for stopping by. Hope you have a good day. I have not seen her. Did she not return to the guest house? Rosa, you dumbass. Rosa knew her daughter's nature well, so a chill ran down her spine. Maria was stubbornly honest, and if she was ordered to find something that didn't exist, she would look forever and ever. Even in pouring rain. No, the cousins left before I did, so Maria was alone. Unless someone told her to stop, she'd stay there even if it started raining spears. Without even opening an umbrella. Ah! How could I have lost control of my emotions and done such a thing? Even though she'd known about Maria's simple honesty better than anyone, she'd once again lost control of her emotions and done something terrible. Maria! Rosa pushed Genji away and ran down the hall. The outside really looked like a typhoon, and the rain was pouring down spectacularly. Maybe because of some aspect of the terrain, the winds were typhoon class, so an umbrella wouldn't be torn out of one's hands. Even so, it certainly was a windy rain. There was no time to admire the roses being drenched. Anyway, I'm getting pretty worried about Maria. You don't think she's still rebelliously searching for that rose alone, do you? I wonder. Surely she wouldn't do it in this rain. Or at least, I wish I could believe that. But Maria-chan sometimes gets really stubborn and intensely straightforward. We hadn't worried much, thinking that Aunt Rosa had taken her back to the mansion. However, when Kanan-kun had come from the mansion to call us and thought Maria was here, we got a little worried. I did not see her in the mansion, so I was sure she was here. After all, Rosa-sama was taking a nap. You didn't see her on her way over here? My apologies. I opened my umbrella and ran as fast as I could, so I did not pay much attention. If he had cut through the rose garden, taking the shortest line between the mansion and the guest house, then he would have just barely missed the place where Maria had been looking for her rose. And it was raining this hard, too. It certainly would have been possible for Kanan-kun to fail to notice her. Instead of arguing around here, it'd be faster to just check it out directly. Aniki, why don't we race over there? Oh? Do you think he could beat me now that you've been growing for 6 years? Okay, let's settle this. Go! George, Aniki, and I flew out into the rain. Jessica and Kanan-kun followed us. Maria! If you're there, answer me! Maria! It's Aunt Rosa. Hey, Aunt Rosa! When George Aniki called back, Aunt Rosa jumped at him and grabbed onto him. Where's Maria? Isn't she with you? No, we didn't meet with Maria-chan after that. Maria! 6 years ago, Maria was 3 years old. She was a cute and pure kid who'd just accept whatever anyone said. But 6 years have passed since then. She's 9 now, and experiencing the ups and downs of life should have taught her something. But Maria, are you telling me you're still as innocent and pure as you used to be? Maria! As I circled the rose bed, something white unexpectedly turned to face me. It was a white umbrella. Maria was crouching down, holding a white umbrella and still searching for that rose. Ugh. Her face, which had turned bright red from crying her eyes out, was dirtied with water and mud. It was truly a pitiful sight. Maria! Are you still looking? Ugh! Can't find it. Can't find my rose. Ugh. Maria had probably been here since the rain started pouring down. Her shoulders were freezing. She looked tired to the bone, but fortunately, she was holding an umbrella, so she wasn't completely soaked. The umbrella probably came from the handbag Maria always carried around. Surprisingly, a really, what's the word I'm looking for? A well-prepared kid. Seriously, thank goodness. Buttercun! Thank goodness you found her. Maria! I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Aunt Rosa threw her umbrella aside and hugged Maria. Ugh. It's not here. My rose isn't here. Ugh. I'll look for it with you later, okay? So, just put it on hold for today, okay? Ugh. Put it on hold for today. I looked at Maria was still wasn't able to accept it. But she no longer had the energy to resist. Just Kanun caught up with us. I'll have a tower ready in the mansion immediately. Maria? Were you here this whole time? I'm sorry. I'm sorry for being such a bad mother. Aunt Rosa, why don't we head back to the mansion for the time being? If we stay here, Maria will catch a cold. You're right. Maria, let's go. If we don't get you cleaned up, Grandfather will be mad. Ugh, hungry. It's already time to eat. You did a good job holding out, Maria. Once the weather gets better, we'll all go search together. We couldn't stay in the rain forever. We took Maria with us as we headed back to the mansion. Maria apparently wasn't as worn out as I thought. When she remembered we were having calf steak for dinner, she started chanting, "I'm hungry, I'm hungry!" And returned to her usual spirited self. Aunt Rosa didn't chide Maria for saying, ooh. I see. So she had an umbrella on her. Maria sure is good at packing the right stuff. I didn't bring an umbrella. What? Then how'd you get that white umbrella you're holding? I borrowed it. Some caring person must have brought her an umbrella. A normal kid would look for shelter once it started raining, but Maria was too stubborn to give up so easily. So maybe that caring person gave up on telling Maria to find shelter, then decided to at least give her an umbrella. I see. I'll have to thank that person. Who was it? Beatrice? Yeah, that's what I figured. The name Maria cheerfully mentioned was of the island's witch. Rosa took a deep breath and asked again, trying to do so in a way that wouldn't damage Maria's good mood. Really? That's wonderful. So, who was it? Who brought you that umbrella? Beatrice. Maria immediately realized that her mother did believe her and started crying out unhappily again. Oh God, here we go. So Rosa stopped pursuing the subject. It'd probably be faster to ask whoever lent Maria the umbrella during dinner rather than ask Maria herself. Father, please at least join us for dinner. It won't be a family conference otherwise. Along with the dull pounding on the door, the sound of Krause's entreaty could be heard. However, that voice seemed to be resigned to the fact that nothing it said would be heard. Kinzo-san, Won't you at least come out for dinner? All your children have gathered here to see your face, haven't they? Silence, Nanjo. So the bishop won't work. One move too short. Apparently, Kinzo was completely focused on the final battle of his long-lasting chess match with Nanjo. Kinzo's brow was wrinkled as he continued to glare at the game board through his spectacles. Klaus's voice didn't reach his ears. Kinzo-san, I'm hungry myself. Why don't we go down and eat? Go by yourself if that's what you want. Let me consider this next move for a little longer. We are going to finish it tonight. Otherwise, it's doubtful we'll finish before the world ends. Nanjo rose from his seat, hoping this would prompt Kinzo to do the same, but Kinzo's eyes never left the chessboard. He knew well that Kinzo always displayed a blind concentration when it came to chess, but he'd never seen Kinzo concentrate as hard as this. It was almost as though Kinzo was telling the truth, that there would never be another chance for them to continue their contest if they didn't finish tonight. It seemed that, no matter how absently he called out to Kinzo, it wouldn't reach the latter's heart. Nanjo gave up and headed to the door that Klaus was still banging on. The door to the study opened. Klaus was taken aback, thinking that maybe Kinzo was actually coming out. However, Nanjo was the one who appeared, and Klaus let out a sigh of relief. Dr. Nanjo, his father. I'm sorry I couldn't be of service. Right now, this room is Kinzo-san's whole world. Nanjo shook his head with a completely defeated expression. Klaus raised his fist once more and banged on the door, shouting, Father, can you hear me? We're heading down now, but please join us at any time you feel like it. All of your children are waiting for you. His voice was very loud, and he was making a racket pounding on the door. There was no way it would have reached Kinzo's ears. Well, it certainly was reaching him, but he ignored it anyway. However, unlike the time he'd been called down for lunch, he didn't fly into a rage. Progress! By now, Kinzo was calm at heart, almost as though he had taken on a philosophical view and turned himself over to fate. Neither dinner nor the faces of my children interest me in the slightest. I will only leave here if Beatrice is resurrected, or if I am chosen as a sacrifice for the key. The demon's roulette has already started spinning. What meaning does dinner have at this point? As though the painfully loud banging on the door completely failed to enter his ears, Kinzo silently thought about his next chess move, still in his philosophical state. Just as always, Kinzo's figure couldn't be seen anywhere in the dining hall. Klaus, wearing a bitter smile, returned with Nanjo. Father says he's still not feeling well. He truly regrets missing this once-a-year opportunity to sit together with his gathered family. Ava and Rudolph snickered. Given Kinzo's personality, there was no way he'd show signs of regret. And none of his relatives showed any regret at his absence. Then why don't we start dinner? Goda, begin. Certainly. Well then, if you will allow me. When Goda was told to start the family conference dinner, his biggest time to shine of the whole year, he nodded with a broad grin. May I ask who lent Maria an umbrella? When Rosa timidly cut through the silence of the dining hall, everyone noticed. An umbrella? What's this about? A short while back, Maria was in the rose garden when it started raining. and she apparently borrowed a white umbrella from someone. I wanted to thank them. Wasn't one of us. After you left, we moved to a different room and had a friendly chat the whole time. That's right. Even after that, the siblings had a real friendly chat. The word friendly fell awkwardly from Hideyoshi's lips, so even those who hadn't been present could tell the conversation hadn't been a pleasant one. At the very least, it couldn't have been me, Ava, Rudolph, Hideyoshi-san, or Kirie-san. We were together the whole time, even after Natsuhine-san and Rosa-san left. The whole time, until the meal started. Nisan went up to the study with Genji-san to call father. At that time, the rest of us went straight to the dining hall. So it wasn't one of us. Couldn't it have been a servant kind enough to lend an umbrella? So, was it you, Goda-san? I have been in the kitchen the whole time preparing. My sincere apologies. Goda looked slightly disappointed about missing this chance to show off. At that time, Shannon and Kumasawa appeared, pushing a serving cart loaded with hors d'oeuvres. Then what about Kumasawa-san or Shannon-chan? Yes? Has something gone wrong? Because Shannon had come in part way, she shrank back, mistakenly thinking that the others were searching for the one responsible for some error. It isn't like that. It started to rain when Maria-chan was alone in the rose garden. After that, someone lent her an umbrella. Aunt Rosa said she wanted to thank that person. Oh, Beatrice. Maria, her mouth a thin line, said that witch's name in a small voice. Aunt Rosa explained the situation one more time. As she did, Kumasawa-san cackled. Ho ho ho, it wasn't us. Shannon-san and I were preparing the rooms together, so we did not go outside. Yes, I'm sorry I wasn't able to be of assistance. Preparing the rooms? What do you mean by that? Because of the rain, we thought it would be troublesome for all the guests to return to the guest house, so the servants were ordered to prepare the guest rooms inside the mansion. Really? How thoughtful. Yes, it certainly would be rude to chase us outside in this rain. Could you give it a rest? Yes, after receiving the order from Madame, Kumasawa-san, Kanon-kun, and I started preparing the rooms. Then it became time for dinner, so Genji-sama ordered Kanon-kun to go to the guest house and summon the children. Yes. So, did Kanon-kun find Maria on the way to the guest house and hand her the umbrella? Ugh! Round! The person who had actually received the umbrella denied it. Rosa was troubled. All she wanted to do was give a word of thanks to the person who lent the umbrella, but she couldn't find them. And she thought asking like this with everyone gathered for dinner would work immediately. Then, was it you, Natsuhine-san? I'm sorry. After everyone's friendly chat, my headache was so bad that I have been resting in my room. Therefore, I did not go outside. Then who was it? George-kun and the kids? Definitely not. That can't be right. No, it wasn't us. We were watching television in the guest house the whole time. Actually, we thought Maria had just gone back to the mansion with you. And Kanon-kun came and he asked whether Maria was with us. That's when we first realized she wasn't in the mansion. I mean, if it were me, I'd have grabbed her hand and pulled her under a roof before giving her an umbrella. Rosa was completely baffled. One by one, the relatives and the servants denied that they had done it. Even though it really wasn't something anyone would need to hide. So, by process of elimination, the number of remaining candidates wasn't large. Of course, it wasn't me. Right after it began raining, I visited Kinzo-san's room, and I was playing chess with him until just now. Which means that it wasn't grandfather. Wait a sec. Isn't this starting to get a bit weird? Who's left? Then, who was it? Genji-san? Huh? Wait a sec, don't get me wrong. It's not like I'm searching for some culprit or anything. All I want to do is, as a mother, thank the person who gave Maria an umbrella in the middle of the rain. Giving an umbrella to a girl loitering in the rain was something to be praised, not hidden. Despite that, no one raised their hand. Why not? Everyone started whispering about how strange this was getting. Calm down, Rosa. Why don't we just ask the person who was lent the umbrella? That's what everyone had been thinking since the beginning. They were all scratching their heads at why she didn't just ask Maria, who had been given the umbrella. However, Rosa bit her lower lip. After all, she already knew how Maria would answer if asked. Of course, Rudolph-kun here's got it right. Maria-chan, tell your uncle. Who lent you the umbrella? Beatrice! The dining hall was wrapped in silence for an instant, but it was soon interrupted by a burst of laughter. I see. So Beatrice, the witch of the forest, felt pity and lent her an umbrella. What a lovely story. Rosa, there you have it. Rosa couldn't believe it. Even though she just wanted to say thanks for the umbrella, why did everything have to be so clouded in smoke? Oh, just like Uncle Kraus said. Beatrice let me borrow it. Ha ha ha. Isn't that wonderful? We should all be jealous of such purity. What do you think, everyone? Kraus was laughing with a face that was clearly mocking. But Maria was overjoyed, apparently convinced that her claim was being believed. How did that work? Does that mean a witch really appeared and lent her an umbrella? Jessica asked me in a small voice that wouldn't carry over to Maria, who was sitting across from me. Has Maria ever been the type to make jokes? If we'd heard that kind of story pop out of my old bastard's mouth, we would have just taken it as another joke. However, it was hard to explain it away like that when Maria said it. This was getting pretty unnerving. No way. She's always been frank and serious. She's the sort who'd believe any joke, even ones normal people could instantly tell were lies. I've never even heard of her cracking a joke. Aunt Rosa probably knew that better than anyone. It appeared that because of this weird situation, she had no idea what was going on anymore. So, if Maria says she borrowed an umbrella from Beatrice, that must mean it really was Beatrice? We're talking about Maria here, so I can't think of it as some kind of metaphor or joke. It might be best to take what she says at face value. There's a random cosplayer on this island. Then what's going on? Are you saying Genji-san or someone put on that fancy dress from the portrait and gave Maria that umbrella? I'm not sure about that. Actually, that's what I want to know. Jessica shrugged jokingly, but her expression didn't match her attitude. Once the hors d'oeuvres were set out and Goda showed off his vast store of knowledge, the meal began. Alright, I think this is a good spot to take a quick break. I'm out of water and stuff, so I am gonna get myself some water, a snack, all that good stuff. Ad breaks are about to start in like 40 seconds anyway. So hold on tight, everyone. I will leave you with this delightful, suspenseful music. Okay, be right back. Whoop. Yes, of course the answer was Madonna. Hello, everybody, we back. I got myself some frozen grapes for my snack. Also helps with hydration a bit. And then I got some hot water. We're ready to go. A couple casual chats broke out here and there, but they seemed somehow distant. And the meal ended up being so quiet that you couldn't ignore the sound of the rain sneaking into the dining hall. Boo, boo. Kumasawa and Shannon, pushing the serving cart, ran into Genji and Kanon on their way to the kitchen. Oh, it's Genji-san. Did you lend Maria-san an umbrella? An umbrella? What are you talking about? Well, I heard that when it started raining, Maria-sama was alone in the rose garden. It seems she borrowed an umbrella from someone there. But we don't know who it was. It wasn't me. After all, I actually thought Maria-sama was in the guest house. When Banther-sama first found her, she was already holding a white umbrella. My apologies, but it was not me either. Then, could it actually be the master? Both in the dining hall and right here, everyone had stated that they hadn't done it. They left only Kinzo, but maybe he went walking down the corridor for some reason when he just happened to see Maria-sama in the rose garden without even an umbrella. The master is not particularly fond of Maria-sama. Damn! Even though she's the only one that believes in your beloved Beatrice. Hi, Tsumaki. I agree. I can't imagine that, for Maria-sama's sake, you'd go to all the trouble of descending the stairs with an umbrella. Oh my, how troublesome. Does that mean the one who lent Maria-sama an umbrella really was Beatrice-sama? Kumasawa-san laughed, just like the relatives in the dining hall who had laughed it off. She couldn't think of any other way to break through the smoke veiling the current situation. Just then, the crisp sound of hands clapping twice ran through the hallway. This beach. They all turned around at once to see Goda coming out of the dining hall. Okay, everyone, when serving a dinner, proper timing while setting the table is essential. Okay, great, thanks. We're busy right now. Please immediately see to setting out the soup. Genji-san, the women are in the middle of an important job, so please don't get in their way. Damn. The servants are having a great time. Kanon glared at Goda for being rude to Genji, a person Kanon respected. Genji, realizing this, patted Kanon once on the shoulder as a warning. Kanon reluctantly turned away and returned his expression to normal. Obey Goda's instructions. Hurry and prepare the dinner table. Come now, there's no time. Don't dawdle. Hurry! Goda grabbed the serving cart from Shannon and steadily pushed it towards the kitchen. Then please allow us to return to the kitchen. After all, Goda's temper is very short. Who ordered? Who hired the short-tempered chef? Who does he think he is, Gordon Ramsay? Kumasawa and Shannon left. Only Genji and Kanon remained. Through the window, the darkness of the rainy night could be seen, along with the occasional thunderbolt. Genji-sama? Did Beatrice-sama really return? I don't know. Shall I inform the master? That is not necessary. If she truly has returned, she will eventually appear before the master of her own accord. Furthermore, she is a fickle person. It would be pointless to report to the master only to find that she does not appear. I wonder if this means the master's ceremony has already begun. Probably. However, it has nothing to do with furniture like us. We must continue to return the favor we received from the master until our final moments. Yes, that is furniture's duty. The thunder crashed once more. Except for those instances when lightning lit up the sky, nothing could be seen out the window but the darkness of night. Just as humans rule when the sun is up, those who are not human rule when the sun is down. The darkness of night that now surrounded Rokkenjima was ruled by another master, not the Ushiromiya family. Did this master take pity on Maria when she was alone and being pummeled by the rain in the rose garden, lending her an umbrella? Kanon looked at the rose garden's lights dimly visible beyond the window. The dim lights weren't enough to illuminate the surrounding area. Looking at those lights felt like making eye contact with the witch, and Kanon forced himself to avert his gaze. If he did it, it felt like his eyes would be absorbed by that light. Can the weather change how people act? You often hear stories about how things like atmospheric pressure can influence people's moods and physical health. Mood, I get migraines more often when it's rainy weather. For some time now, everyone had been struggling to clear the gloomy atmosphere, but any conversation was quickly cut off, and in the end, the dining hall was simply filled by the sound of the rain. Dessert was some kind of chocolate cake, accompanied by pear sherbet. Ooh, sherbet. Goda-san enthusiastically explained the recipe as soon as this final dish was presented. But I quickly forgot the details. The guest of honor, grandfather, was absent. The weather was horrible, and the identity of the one who'd lent Maria an umbrella remained a mystery. When dinner ended, no one felt even one bit refreshed. It was too late now, but I realized painfully that taste wasn't the only part of a meal. The whole atmosphere was also critical. Goda-san, the supposed conductor of this musical piece called Dinner, did his best to enliven the place. dropping little jokes left and right, and apparently not one of them succeeded. After taking orders for after-dinner coffee, tea, and orange juice, he left for the kitchen. As soon as he disappeared, Uncle Kraus spoke. My, what a waste that the dinner Goda-san worked so hard to create has met with such a gloomy atmosphere. Yes, absolutely. It just feels like nothing would taste good today. Oh? I'd like to know why you feel that way. Gee, I wonder whose fault it is. Later on, I'll do all I can as your older brother to help cheer you up. Aunt Ava grimaced slightly. I'd already heard she wasn't on good terms with Uncle Kraus, but it was pretty clear now. When I looked around, I noticed that my father and Aunt Rosa were also grimacing. Apparently, there was something besides the weather troubling all of them. Both Aunt Ava and my dad aren't looking too happy. Really? I don't think so. I asked Aunt Natsuhi, who was sitting on my right, but she seemed to be in a bad mood as well. She snapped back as if to say she was absolutely not interested. Well, our adult conversation got a little complicated. It isn't something kids like you need to worry about, Battler Gun. Ha ha ha! Isn't that right, Natsuhi-san? Kirie-san? Uncle Hideyoshi laughed as he spoke, but without any of his usual brightness. So, I could vaguely imagine just how complicated their adult conversation had become. On top of that, Aunt Natsuhi and Kirie-san, the people he had directed his comment to, ignored him as though they hadn't heard anything. I didn't know what kind of conversation they'd been having while us kids were away. But it reminded me of how Dad said he had stomach cramps when he arrived at the mansion. The family conference might have been a playful reunion to us kids, but it was definitely different for the adults. After Uncle Hideyoshi's comment was ignored by the other adults, and an awkward silence fell over the room, Kirie-san spoke up. We were talking about how the kids' careers would turn out, such as what lies in your future, Battler-kun. Will you just drift on to college? Wouldn't that be a little disheartening as a starting line for the long race of life? Hey, wait a sec. Kirie-san, if you start talking about something like that in the middle of a meal, it won't digest well and we'll all end up getting constipated. Ha ha ha! That's right. We were talking about Battler-kun and Jessica-chan's careers. You've got to think seriously about the future. Hideyoshi heartily agreed, as if they really had been talking about that, but that was probably wrong. Kirie-san had obviously been trying to change the subject. However, if Kirie-san had determined that this was the best course of action for now, she was probably right. Taking this into account, I cast aside my suspicions as to the cause behind Aunt Ava and Dad's bad moods. At long last, the serving cart returned, filled with coffee and tea. Kumasawa-san and Shanin-chan served it to everyone. Godo-san then explained that this concluded tonight's meal. If only the mood had been a bit more cheery, it might have been the best dinner in my life. It's your last dinner. It was a shame this best of dinners couldn't have been under the best conditions. Oh! George Oni-chan, is dinner over now? Over? Yes. With this, dinner is finished. Don't be rude. Stay in your seat and calmly drink up. Oh, Maria looked like she was really excited by the occasional crashing thunder. Maybe she wanted to quickly finish eating and run over to the window. She had been fidgeting for a while, waiting for the meal to end. Some people are afraid of thunder, while others find it interesting, And Maria was apparently one of the latter sort. I'm one of the former. I'm afraid of storms. Therefore, when she heard from George Aniki that dinner was over, a huge smile broke across her face. What about you guys? Anyone afraid of storms, or am I the only one? She then rose from her seat, took out her handbag, which she'd set under her seat, never having left it even while she was eating, and began fishing around inside of it. No one seemed particularly concerned by this behavior except Rosa. What's that? Where did you get it? George was the first to notice it. As he spoke, Battler noticed too. They saw that Maria was now holding a beautiful Western-style envelope. Oh my God! What did Beatrice give her? On the front of the envelope, the Ushiromiya family crest, the one-winged eagle, was done in gold leaf. Furthermore, the fact that it was sealed with dark red wax made it clear this wasn't something Maria could have brought as a prank. Maria-chan, what is that? Seeing that Natsuhi had also noticed the strangeness of the envelope Maria was holding. Her voice sounded too serious for someone admonishing a small child, so the relatives around us finally noticed too. What happened, Natsuhi-ne-san? What is that? Maria? Where did you pick that up? That envelope has Kinzo-san's. When Nanjo muttered that, even us kids could understand why everyone seemed to be frozen solid. The envelope that Maria held was one of the Ushiro family's head's custom-made envelopes for private use. In other words, it could only mean one thing. The envelope contained a message from Kinzo. Oh? What is an envelope like that doing here? Now that's an interesting thing to come jumping out at us. Just let me have a peek. Ugh, no way, I'll read it. I was told to read it to everyone. Uncle Hideyoshi tried to snatch the envelope out of Maria's hands, but she protected it as though hugging it and didn't let go. Hideyoshi-san, you can't use force against a child. Maria-chan, where did you get this envelope? Ugh, I got it from Beatrice when she gave me the umbrella. I knew it. She told me to read it to everyone after the meal was over. I'm the witch's messenger. Messenger? The almighty witch of the island sure likes to mess around. Battler tried to joke about it, but no one laughed. I wonder what's written inside of it. Maria-chan? Oh, gonna read it. Maria casually opened the envelope. It was sealed only with a wax, so she just had to remove the sealing wax to open it. That sealing wax fell onto the desk. Hideyoshi hastily picked it up and stared fixedly at it. It then sat in the center of the table, where Natsuki, Kirei, and Nanjo stared at it. Imprinted in the sealing wax was the one-winged eagle, which was the Ushiromiya family's crest, and also Kinzo's personal crest. This is the family head's personal crest. I know it from the letters I have received from Kinzo-san before. Without a doubt, this is his wax seal. But aren't there several things in this mansion bearing that crest? For example, if there were some kind of stamp for wax seals, couldn't someone other than Kinzo-san have used it? No, Kinzo-san would always use a ring on his finger, his proof of the Ushinomiya family headship when he sealed the wax. You mean the ring he chucked out into the storm? The shape and complex design is definitely Kinzo-san's seal. That is not necessarily so. Anyone in the family must have received a letter from father at least once. We can't eliminate the possibility that someone used that wax as a model to create a fake seal. I agree with Aniki. No matter how much the seal resembles Dad's, we can't prove that it's the real thing. So it doesn't prove that the envelope came from him. I absolutely agree. I cannot approve of arbitrarily deciding that this letter came from father, based solely on the wax seal. Dr. Nanjo, couldn't you use a bit more discretion with your vague words? I apologize. It was not my place to speak. One after another, all the siblings from Kraus on downwards rejected Nanzo's statement, saying that the envelope Maria held wasn't necessarily from Kinzo. They were afraid. They feared from the bottom of their hearts that Kinzo's intentions were written in there, and that it might be some announcement regarding the inheritance that would be decidedly unfavorable to them. Maria, the person who gave you that envelope, was the same person who lent you that umbrella, right? Oh! I don't know what "ooh" means. Is it true? Yes. So in other words, the witch Beatrice gave Maria the envelope along with the umbrella? Oh! Maria nodded forcefully. I agree with my husband. It's a dubious letter handed over by some suspicious person. It isn't even worth reading. There's nothing wrong with just reading it, right? Adler said it to Jessica in a small voice, trying to act tough, but Natsuhi heard him clearly and glared at him with threatening eyes. Wow, don't threaten the child. You don't need to go that far, ma'am. And then, Beatrice told you to read it after the meal was over, right, Maria? Oh! It's okay, everyone. This envelope didn't come from grandfather, but from Beatrice. Regardless of who actually wrote it, why can't we just hear what's inside before we decide? That's right. Even if father didn't necessarily write it, I'd still like to know what's written inside. Maria-chan, I'm sorry I tried to take it from you by force earlier. I apologize, so will you read it out loud in front of everyone? Maria, read it. Ugh. As all the relatives stared fiercely at Maria, she spread the letter open with a rustle. Do you really think it came from Dad? Impossible. Whenever father has announced something to us in the past, he would always send Genji if he didn't do it directly, correct? I cannot believe that he would use such a joke-like approach. That's right. Maria, a messenger? That definitely doesn't suit father's tastes. Rosa, could this be Maria-chan trying to surprise us by putting on some kind of show? Maria isn't really a kid who'd be capable of something so thoughtful. Damn. Gonna read it. Ugh. The words came out of Maria's mouth, but for some reason, her voice seemed different from usual. Everyone went suddenly silent. Welcome to Rokenjima, members of the Ushinomiya family. I am Beatrice, the alchemist for this family employed by Kinzo-sama himself. Ha! That's crazy! Quiet! I have served him for many years in accordance with our contract, but on this day, Kinzo-sama has announced his final suspension of that contract. Therefore, I ask that you acknowledge my resignation from the position of family alchemist from this day forth. How foolish. What nonsense. I can't stand to listen to this. And now, there is one part of the contract that must be explained to all present. I, Beatrice, lent Kinzo-sama a vast quantity of gold under certain terms. One of these terms specifies that all the gold is to be returned to me upon the termination of the contract. Furthermore, I am to receive everything of the Ushinomiya family as interest. Bruh. Ridiculous! It's been ridiculous from the very beginning. So it's basically one of those things, right? Chainmail? Blackmail? Doesn't it sound just like one of those contracts with the devil? The contract has expired, so they've come to collect the interest. She trying to grab some retirement money for her old age or something? What a cheeky witch. Badler-kun. Now isn't the time to joke around. Badler made a face as if to ask, if I can't make fun of this, what can I make fun of? I mean, he's got a point. Some of the adults' faces were pale, while others looked dazed. After hearing this, you may feel as though Kinzo-sama has been savagely ruthless. However, Kinzo-sama did append a special clause to the contract so that you would have a chance to preserve your wealth and honor. If and only if that special clause is fulfilled, I will lose my rights to the gold and the interest for all eternity. A special clause? What is it? They're taking it so seriously now. Special clause. Beatrice retains the right to collect the gold and accumulate interest upon the termination of the contract. However, if someone is able to discover the hidden gold of this contract, Beatrice must abandon these rights for all time. The collection of the interest will proceed shortly, but if any of you fulfills the terms of this special clause, I shall return everything, including the portion that has already been collected. Furthermore, as the first step in the collection of Kinzo-sama's debt, I have taken possession of the Ushinomiya family's head ring, which signifies the passage of the Ushinomiya family headship from one individual to another. I ask that you confirm this for yourself by examining the imprint on the wax seal. Are they trying to claim that that's the meaning behind this seal? That father would relinquish his ring is unthinkable. Klaus stared at the sealing wax as if trying to burn a hole through it. Eva and Rudolph were doing the same over his shoulder. Come to think of it, when we were playing chess, I did have a strange feeling that something was missing from Kinzo-san's finger. Dr. Nanjo! Don't say something so careless just because of a vague memory! We cannot prove its authenticity here. Only by asking father directly can we determine whether he really handed over his ring and whether this letter tells the truth. That's right. It's just as Kirie-san says. Do you really think Kinzo-san will tell you? After all, that person's thoughts sometimes surpass the bounds of common sense. No matter what happens, it's still nonsense. In the first place, the illusion of gold itself is one of Father's tricks. I've already heard enough of that talk of gold from the rest of you. But this is the witch speaking, right? About how the inheritance and all of the assets will be handed over to the one who finds the gold, right? So,
Maybe Beatrice is father's legal advisor or in charge of his funds.
We can't possibly trust some strange person who entrusts such a suspicious paper to a child. Aniki, we need you to be frank with us. Is it possible Dad's assets are being managed by someone you don't know? No, that's impossible. As the family head's representative, I control all of Father's assets. I've been embezzling them all. It should be impossible for anyone to do as they please with them without my knowing it. So this must mean there are some assets you don't control, right, Kraus-Nisa? How foolish! Such assets could not possibly exist!
Oh? But there is such a thing. An asset of father's that you don't control.
There's no way such a thing could exist!
No, it does.
It's father's, no, Beatrice's hidden gold.
Let's keep it simple. In short, Dad had some trusted confidant that Aniki doesn't even know about. Furthermore, the person has always been in charge of watching and managing the gold. Or it could be some eccentric rich person who offered him a loan with rules like a devil's contract. Could it be that this confidant called Beatrice is trying to test which of Kinzo's children is most worthy to be financed by her gold? Kirie's question was one that all the siblings wanted answered. Upon reflection, they realized that Kinzo's strange epitaph had hung in the hall beneath the witch's portrait for quite some time. And while it had long been whispered that whoever solved the puzzle would receive it, no one had ever clearly stated it. It was just something that everyone had hoped might be true. And right here, right now, the thing they'd hoped for had been clearly stated in Beatrice's letter. It clearly specified that everything of the Ushinomiya family would be given to the one who found the gold. Kinzo-sama has already publicly displayed the location of the hidden gold with the epitaph under my portrait. The rules apply equally to all who can read the epitaph. If you discover the gold, I shall return everything to you. Tonight, I ask that you enjoy your battle of wits with Kinzo-sama to the fullest. I sincerely pray that this night will be both intellectual and elegant. Beatrice the Golden.
Father! I know you can hear me! Please respond! The door to Kinzo's study was being violently, harshly beaten against over and over like a percussion instrument. The yells coming from the other side belonged to Kraus, Rudolph, and sometimes Ava. It was the siblings who were trying to intrude upon Kinzo's study to question him about the truth behind this mysterious letter. Kinzo was eating. Well, how nice of you. An elegant tablecloth was set over the desk, and the fabulous dinner that had adorned the table down in the dining hall was reproduced here. Kinzo continued his meal in silence. Shannon, taking away an empty plate, looked uncomfortably between the door being pounded on and Kinzo's face. Everyone is calling for you, but what should I do? Leave them. God and my meals both hold silence as a virtue. Should I silence them? There's no need. It does not even reach my ears. How convenient. I wish I could just tune out my family on a whim like that. Sheesh. I'd have a much easier time working in the apothecary if I could just ignore everything. Kinzo enjoyed his food, apparently indifferent. Genji quietly lowered his head and took a single step back. As he did, Kanon, who stood in reserve like a shadow behind and to the side of Genji, opened his mouth. Maria-sama apparently received a letter from Beatrice-sama, so I imagine they want to test its authenticity. Ha ha ha. Has she started already then? Come, Beatrice. I have no shortage of coins to be wagered. Shall we enjoy the night to the fullest? I don't think I'll lose. Your smile will be mine for all of eternity. If I could see it one more time, I wouldn't regret losing my wealth, my honor, even my life. Well then, the roulette has begun to spin. Which pocket will the ball fall into? Noir? Rouge? Or house takes all? Come, you may begin, Beatrice. I'll show you the power of miracles once more. Doop, 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 doop. 10 p.m. The strange letter that the witch had entrusted to Maria wiped all memories of dinner from our minds. Maria was repeatedly barraged with questions by Aunt Rosa and the other parents, and became increasingly ill-tempered when they refused to believe her. If we kids tried to butt in, they'd probably ignore us. Our parents were all stirred up, firing back and forth about the gold and the distribution of the assets, and completely forgetting that we were even there. I guess they'd been talking like this in the shadows, but I hadn't thought they'd be so blunt. It gave all of us kids a considerable shock. From what we could overhear, all the parents wanted more money as soon as possible. Back and forth about grandfather's inheritance. Back and forth about the distribution of the gold if it was found. About advance payments and cash. It was so despicable I could hardly bear to watch, even though one of them was my father. It looked like Jessica felt the same way. We left our seats without being asked to and went to hang out somewhere well away from our parents. I get it. Now I totally see why grandfather hates coming down for meals. I'm so disillusioned with our parents right now. All about money and the inheritance. How can they act like that right out in the open? Well, I'm already completely disillusioned with my old bastard. There's no way I could think any worse of him. That's exactly the same for me. Still, that frickin' shocked me. Oh my gosh, she said frickin'. She swore. That's as close as a high society lady can get to swearing. Shocked me to the core. Jessica looked down at the floor, irritated. She was always talking about how bad her parents were, but maybe she hadn't really felt that way deep down. The depths of Jessica's shock made that clear. You're all minors being supported by your parents, so you might not understand. But getting money is neither a simple nor a pretty thing. I won't try to force you to understand right now since you're still kids. But even so, I want you to realize that your parents are just doing their best in their own way. Oh, great. George Anaki's gotten all mature. George Nissan, I know you're working hard as a fully fledged member of society, but
Does that mean you turn into a shameless, greedy vulture like our parents whenever you start talking about money and assets? If it were only for my own benefit, then no, I wouldn't do that. However, when your family and your employees, your subordinates, and their families are all counting on you, there are times when you must fight. I hate that kind of fight. That back and forth about grandfather's inheritance just makes me want to puke. Jessica pretended to spit violently. Damn! She's really not having it. She did the huck tooey. That harsh reaction made the depths of her pain very clear. Let's stop talking about this. All this about grandfather's hidden gold, property, and inheritance is our parents' problem, not ours. I agree. At the very least, I think children have a duty to be considerate and stay out of their parents' way when they're talking together. Sounds pretty boring. Everyone knows the phrase, adults are filthy. But we had now seen that for ourselves, and that really did give us a considerable shock. Judge Aniki was now pretty much an adult. And I'd already been disillusioned with my dad, so the shock wasn't that big for us. But Jessica seemed to be taking it hard. Apparently, she'd received a bigger blow than I thought. She always talks badly about her parents, but it looks like she hasn't changed at all on the inside. Even now, she's still a pure-hearted, delicate person who can't doubt others. I'm sure she respected her parents as much as anyone else does. And then, her parents started raging about going, money, money, inheritance by money! Right in front of all the other parents and the children. It's no surprise she received such a shock from hearing that. Jessica-chan, please don't start hating your mother and father. I won't ask you to understand them, but at least don't hate them. I get it. Just leave me alone for a bit. 6 years ago, I would have kept taunting Jessica even after she got all dejected. But I guess I really have grown over the last 6 years. I realized it'd be better to leave Jessica alone right now. Jessica suddenly looked away sulkily and left the parlor. She probably wanted to be alone for a while. I could do nothing but wordlessly watch her back as she left. Come to think of it, I wonder where Maria-chan went. She's probably pouting in front of the portrait. Maria truly looked up to witches, and she'd expected that coming in direct contact with Beatrice and receiving the letter as proof would surprise everyone and make them happy. However, the adults had doubted its authenticity, thoroughly bombarding Maria with questions and refusing to accept her story. Even for me, it wasn't hard to imagine how much that must have hurt Maria. We couldn't speak to Maria or Jessica. In the end, George Aniki and I just abandoned ourselves to the sound of the falling rain in the dark night. I wonder what's happening with the typhoon. Maybe there's something about it on the news. George Aniki started walking over to the corner of the parlor where the television was. He had called me over, and I really couldn't have cared less where the typhoon was on the scene now. So without going over to the television, I loitered around the window. The wind hasn't picked up that much here, but I wonder if it's horrible over the sea. I did hear about a severe storm warning on the weather report.
Ah, Kirie-san. I take it those big talks between the adults are going smoothly, huh? She seemed to catch the sarcasm. Kirie-san shrugged.
I wonder if that stomachache of a discussion will continue all night. It's not going to be fun.
Well then, please enjoy playing vultures to grandfather's property as much as you'd like. I feel sick.
I'll agree with you on that.
If I could just slip away like you, I'd do it.
Unfortunately, I can't. Even if I'm not allowed to speak, we spouses have it pretty rough too.
Kirie-san took a deep breath, smiling bitterly.
That's right.
They probably wouldn't let Kirie-san speak since she only married into the family. Still, as Dad's partner, she had no choice but to stay by his side and support him. He's probably had to bear the full brunt of this mental pressure much more than me. I wasn't going to apologize, but realizing that I'd spoken too harshly, I cut the sarcasm for the time being. So, how does it look? Are they still stuck on the topic of the mysterious witch Beatrice?
More or less.
Those four siblings are always piling up secret agreements when they come together to discuss the division of grandfather's inheritance. They're saying that some unknown fifth person has appeared and is trying to make things even more complicated. And there's no way that'll make for a peaceful conversation. Just when you think they're snarling at each other, they'll set up a common front. Natsuhine-chan's not the only one getting headaches. On the one hand, they all want a larger portion than the other siblings, so they're all rivals. But on the other hand, they don't want 1 yen to be snatched up by anyone other than the siblings, so they're also all allies. I hadn't been told the details, but the siblings were apparently discussing how to protect their shares under various situations. Setting up ceasefire agreements and rules to prevent anyone from getting an unfair advantage, even preparing to resort to legal action if absolutely necessary. That they would go this far to preserve their shares was so beyond disgusting that you just had to acknowledge their resilience. So basically, Beatrice is like an assassin sent by grandfather. He probably wanted to scare the hell out of his children for talking about the inheritance without him.
Who is this Beatrice, I wonder?
If everything she claims is true, then she's a mysterious figure that no one knew about until today. And she also knows about grandfather's hidden gold. On top of that, she was even entrusted with the head's ring. She must truly have been trusted by him. Well, obviously I don't think she's a witch riding around on a broom. But there's no doubt that she's a mysterious person who's earned the right to be called a witch. If only Moriya-chan would go into more detail about that. Everyone's been smothering her even though she's just a little girl. They really scared her. And some things they might have asked now can't be asked. I wonder if those people have ever read The North Wind and the Sun. Ah, yes! For those who don't know the story, just in case the game doesn't expand on it, there's a few different versions, but it was basically, it's a competition between the wind and the sun to try and get, something from a person, and you know, the wind keeps trying to blow it off harder and harder and harder. And all the sun had to do was shine and make it warm. And the person, you know, took off the thing. So she's saying, you know, you'll get... It's like that saying, you catch more flies with honey than vinegar. She's saying they would have gotten a lot more out of Maria by being kind than just going off. What we do know is that Maria received a letter from a person who took the name Beatrice. She sure is shy for a mysterious person, entrusting Maria with the letter and hiding away even now, when she could have just appeared and talked to us directly. Hey, Battlercun. Do you really think a person called Beatrice actually exists? Who knows? Doesn't it really seem like a false name? Like she's grandfather's representative, so she was given permission to take the name of the witch from his delusions? No. That's not what I meant. What is this music? This is like subliminal messaging. That one long cello note is like if you stripped away all the layers of like one of those songs that people say will actually, like, you know, summon evil or something. You stripped away all the layers and that's the hidden message. Right now, there's a total of 18 people here on Rokenjima. Do you think there's a 19th person? Are there really a full 18 people on this island right now? You know what? I wonder if there's some kind of significance about 18 people. Because isn't Danganronpa, isn't it always 18 people? And then there's like a mysterious 19th person? Like, I know it's a common trope in mystery to have, like, you know, a sudden hidden person. But the number 18 and 19 have been coming up a lot, in particular in Japanese games. So I'm like, I wonder if there's a cultural significance with the number. Or even if it's not cultural, like, is there some famous novel in Japan that used 18 and 19 people, so everyone just subconsciously uses it? Things to think about. Wondering about that, I began counting on my fingers, and it really did come out to that many. Do I think that a 19th person exists? What exactly do you mean? Just what I said. The person who lent Maria that umbrella supposedly wasn't one of us 18. So, is it natural to assume that a 19th person exists? And that this person lent Maria the umbrella? Well, sure, it looks that way. Then, where exactly is this person now? At the very least, she must have been on the island since it started raining. And ever since then, the weather has gotten progressively worse, so taking a boat out would be pretty much impossible. In that case, that person must still be on the island, hiding from the rain somewhere, without any of us spotting her. True, we've all been randomly prowling around all over the mansion and the guest house. But no one has bumped into a 19th person, because no one will go into the forest. But this island is huge.
There might be other places to take shelter from the rain other than the mansion and the guest house. At about this time, I began to realize what direction Kirie-san's suspicions were taking us in. Kirie-san was denying that a 19th person existed. Beatrice was one of us 18. In other words, she thought someone we knew well was tricking us. If Beatrice is who she claims, she would surely be the most honored of guests, the most honored of confidants, trusted by Grandfather. There's no way Grandfather wouldn't give that kind of person a warm reception. She would surely have been ushered into the mansion. However, we haven't seen anyone like that. Wait a second. Isn't this line of reasoning a bit too hasty? Sure, no one spotted this person, but that doesn't mean you can deny the possibility that a 19th person exists, right? Maybe. For some reason, they landed on the island stealthily and have been in hiding ever since. It's what they call a devil's proof. It's easy to prove that something exists. If this Beatrice appears in front of us and says hi, then it's settled. But it's impossible to prove that there's no 19th person. Yes. Batler-kun, your way of reasoning isn't bad. In our current situation, there isn't enough information to either accept or deny that a 19th person exists. But if we spin the chessboard around and think that way, we can deny the existence of a 19th person with near certainty. Spin the chessboard around was one of Kirie-san's favorite phrases. Why, though? You would never spin the chessboard around. I've been influenced by those words and used them from time to time myself. When you get stuck trying to find a move in chess or shogi that's spinning the board around and looking at everything from your opponent's standpoint, you can often see a strategy that'll give you the upper hand. I don't think it is illegal to spin the board around. It means turning things around and putting yourself in your opponent's shoes. You see? Let's say that a 19th person called Beatrice actually exists. That person must have been managed, without being seen by anyone, to stealthily arrive on this island and remain hidden ever since. Maybe they had some reason, okay? In that case, why did they go to all the trouble of appearing before Maria and handing her the letter? It really was a contradiction. If they had some reason for hiding themselves, then they should have stayed hidden the whole time. Even so, they had appeared openly in front of Maria. Then... Wait, Maria said it herself. She said the witch made her a messenger. Maybe that's because Maria was the youngest and looked the most obedient. Why would they need a messenger? If they just wanted a letter delivered to the family conference, they could have mailed it. If they mailed it to each of the 4 siblings, no one would be able to ignore it. There was no need for this person to carry it themselves and secretly deliver it by hand. Yeah, that does sound pretty weird. In the first place, if Beatrice existed and wanted to make her presence known to everyone, then she could have just openly presented herself to all of us. Despite that, she chose the vague method of appearing through a little girl called Maria-chan, and only gave us a vague impression of who she was. Contradiction. Let's go a little deeper, shall we? She appeared in front of Maria, trying to give us the impression that a 19th person existed, and yet she still hasn't appeared before us and is hiding somewhere at this very moment. Think about these contradictions. You've got to keep these things in mind when you spin the chessboard around. In short, if a person wants to leave us with the impression that Beatrice exists as the 19th person, what might their goal be? If this person wanted to hide, then they wouldn't have made their presence known. And if they wanted to show themselves, they wouldn't have used the roundabout approach of entrusting someone with a letter. Which means it's simple. Beatrice is one of the 18 people. That's why they wanted to create the illusion that there are more than 18 people. The 19th person was revealed so spectacularly. If someone were to profit from this, it wouldn't be some 19th person in hiding. It'd be one of the original 18 people. Of course, this reasoning is full of holes. If you turn over even a few of its premises, it'll simply fall apart. But I'm almost completely certain it's correct. This is starting to feel pretty creepy. Someone lent Maria the umbrella and handed her the letter. Supposedly, none of the 18 did this. And yet, Beatrice was hidden among those 18. What was this person planning, hiding their true form and pretending to be Beatrice? I suspected it might have been Maria-chan play acting, but the contents of the message were extremely complicated, and it's hard to imagine Maria-chan writing that herself. However, I can't deny the possibility that Maria-chan is working together with someone. Now that's a crazy thought. Who's enlisted the 19-year-old? Wait a second. Maria's a 9-year-old kid, right? What could she possibly be planning, and with who? And what about her straightforward, overly honest, obedient nature? Yes, I also understand what kind of person Maria-chan is. But that's exactly why I think it's possible. That girl's a dreamer who can't help but look up to and blindly accept the existence of witches. So if a person appeared in front of her and claimed to be the witch Beatrice, Maria would happily swallow it up, I think. So you're saying that if someone disguised themselves by wearing that fancy dress from the portrait, tricking Maria wouldn't be that hard? Of course, with that reasoning, all of us women would be the primary suspects. Anyway, who did Maria-chan encounter? I don't know. I think Battler could pull off the dress. Kanon definitely could. Learning the details of that question would be the best key to solving this riddle. But this key has been firmly locked away inside Maria-chan's heart. It's too straightforward to be like, oh, it's the person in the dress? The women are suspicious.
with a dress that big too, it would hide the body type as well. So, like, some people argue it's like, oh, you can tell the gender of a person in a dress, or at least, like, the biological gender of a person in a dress based on, like, body type and stuff. It's like, if it's a big enough dress, it's gonna hide a lot of that. And it was raining cats and dogs, so it didn't need, and it was dark, so it didn't need to be, like, 100% convincing. Just enough to fool a 9-year-old. She probably won't open her heart to the adults now. In the dim hall in front of the portrait of Beatrice, Maria was sobbing. No one believes I met Beatrice! Even though I showed them the letter Beatrice gave, they still don't believe. I mean, it's pretty wild. Anyway, Maria-chan's holding the key. The key to whether Beatrice is one of the 18th people or a 19th person. Maria-chan's stubborn, right? When that girl gets angry, it's pretty hard to make her feel better. Butler-kun, I think a kid like you would be better at cheering her up than an adult like me. After she's feeling better, try asking. I know you don't care about all this back and forth about the inheritance. But don't you find this Western mansion mystery situation exciting? Who in the world is this person who gave Maria-chan the letter? And it makes your intellectual curiosity ache. You're actually pretty tough considering you're still excited after being dragged through that endless money talk. Adults can be pretty amazing. I shrugged exasperately. But I did notice something. Kirie noticed how dejected I was after overhearing our parents' turbulent discussion, and was probably trying to clear the air. At the very least, I'd recovered enough to voice my complaints. She wasn't my real mother, so I've never felt like calling her mom. But it did make me think she's a real adult. Hey, bastard. Hey, brat, so this is where you were. Kirie, you really took your time fixing your makeup, didn't you? Think I'll make a habit of going out to touch up my makeup, too. I'm sorry. A woman's makeup takes a long time. So, how's the discussion been without me? I'm sure everything was all peaceful and harmonious. Kirie-san poked the weak spot under my arm with her elbow. We decided to take a break and cool our heads a little. Probably a great idea. It looks like we'll be at it all night. His way of talking had to change, but he couldn't completely hide his fatigue. I couldn't say I sympathized, but he looked pitiful compared to his normal, energetic self. Still, this rain's just awful. I really don't want to go back to the guest house. It looks like Natsuhine-san set things up so we could spend the night here in the mansion. What'll we do? We don't need to decide until you're done, right? If you run so low on energy that you can't return to our room, then we can take them up on their offer. You're right. We can think about it later. What about you, Battler? If I stayed, I'd just get in the way. I'll be nice and go back over there. I see. Will you go back soon? I don't know. It'd be lonely to head back by myself. I'll gather all the kids and we'll head out. Okay, you go do that. Also, Battler, you won't be going to sleep that easily tonight, right? Yeah, I'll probably be up talking with the cousins. Sounds like we'll be up all night. Is there a problem with that? I see. If you're still awake when the adults' discussion is over, I want to have a little talk as a family. A what? That doesn't sound like you. Apparently, Kirie-san was thinking the same thing. What are you talking about? She asked him in a small voice. It looked like Kirie-san didn't have a clue what Dad meant either. I also want to talk to you about it, Kirie. I'll tell you later, so don't ask now. Please. I don't know anyone who neglects the concept of family as much as this old bastard. And now he's saying we're gonna have a talk as a family. Both Kirie-san and I couldn't help but get wide-eyed. He's planning some murders. Don't look so terrified. I'm the one who should be terrified. After all. At that point, he swallowed his words for an instant. Even though putting on airs of importance wasn't much like my dad. You're freaking me out, Dad. Everyone in our family's gathered here now, right? Don't make a big deal out of it and spit it out. Tonight, I will probably be killed. There was a huge crash of thunder. It must have been really close. Dad's expression, brightly illuminated by the lightning, was burned into my eyes. Dad's face, which always looked so sure of itself, and which always wore a taunting expression, was strangely frail in a way I couldn't really explain. It was so worn out that he looked like a different person. What? What are you talking about? That doesn't sound like you. I agree. What happened? You look so timid all of a sudden. It's not like you. I'm gonna go fix my makeup too. Don't follow me. Dad turned away weakly. After that, only Kirie and I were left, still wide-eyed. What did he say? Tonight he'll be killed? You don't think that mysterious letter scared him, did you? He's been watching too many serial murder movies. Kirie-san didn't answer my light-hearted words and continued to stare at my dad's disappearing back. Battler-kun? When you told Rudolph-san to spill the beans right away, he left without telling us anything. Even though he's had something to say to both of us, he didn't answer you. Why? Spin the chessboard around. What do you see? Well, when he said he wanted to talk, but then couldn't, that's a contradiction. What? Can you see something by looking from Dad's perspective? Yes, I can see something. He wants to talk about something. However, he doesn't have the courage to bring it up. So he actually means chase after me, talk to me, and ask me about it yourself. By saying don't follow me, he actually means the opposite. He actually means follow me and force me to answer. Seriously, what a spoiled brat. What? Can you really call that reasoning? That's ridiculous. Can great private and police detectives deduce the emotions and feelings between men and women? They can't, right?
Figuring out the feelings of the opposite sex is an even more advanced art than exposing the tricks in difficult crime cases. If you ask me, romance novels have much deeper mysteries than masterpiece mystery novels. I see. Is that how it is? I'll stand alongside that spoiled brat. He normally loves to bluff, but tonight he's completely tired out from that heated discussion. He probably wants someone to lean on at the moment. And responding to that need is the role of his partner. Sounds passionate. Then I'll leave that old bastard in your hands. Yes, leave it to me. I called out to Kirei-san's departing back. Huh? What? I wanted to say thanks. Thanks to you, my gloomy mood has cleared up a lot. That's good. Communication is important. After answering with a wink, Kirei-san followed after Dad. Natsuhi could be found in a dimly lit hallway. Now and then, the thunder would crash, but this had no effect on her expression. She looked completely worn out. The discussion that had just taken place between the relatives in the dining hall was repeating itself inside Natsuhi's mind. Beatrice had proclaimed that in addition to the gold, all of the inheritance and property of the Ushinomiya family would be given to the person who could solve the riddle. In other words, she planned to undermine the absolute guarantee that Klaus, as the oldest brother, had to succeed the family head. Originally, the other siblings had absolutely no chance to inherit the headship. To them, this proposal by Beatrice was extremely desirable. It was obvious that they would accept it. There was no need to play some clumsy detective game. Natsuhi knew that this so-called 19th person, Beatrice, couldn't exist. Naturally, Beatrice was nothing more than a fictional character used to pass a message that Kinzo had written himself. As proof, Kinzo had remained stubbornly neutral as to that letter's authenticity. He was completely ignoring the reckless claims that he shouldn't be able to ignore, that he had given up the head's ring. In short, Kinzo had wordlessly admitted that the letter held his own message. Most likely, one of the servants had given Maria the letter. Kinzo had probably worked out an elaborate plan where the dress from the portrait would be prepared, and someone, probably Shannon, would be made to wear it and deliver the letter and the umbrella. By doing that, he could make it seem like the witch from the portrait actually existed. No, if anything, that alone was proof that Kinzo was behind all this. In that case, it was the same as Kinzo trying to butt in on the siblings' private discussion. Then Kinzo, by announcing that he'd give everything to the person who could solve the riddle, would weaken Klaus's overwhelming advantage. Now it was certain. Kinzo had eavesdropped on the siblings' discussion in the parlor earlier that day, so he had known how Klaus had staved off the attack by the other three. Oh, well, I lost my spot for a second, sorry. So he had known how Kraus had staved off the attack by the other three, and to make the scales of the battle go back into balance, he had sent out this strange letter, which benefited Kraus's rivals. He was trying to push this crazy theory so that Rosa, who had a weak position among the siblings because of her age, would join with Ava and Rudolph. Then, with a 3-1 advantage, they'd be able to overwhelm Kraus yet again and make their ridiculous theories get accepted by force. And by doing that, he gave them the power to resettle what had been a nearly decided conflict. They had now started repeatedly pressing Kraus to give them a large amount of money, using the condition that all the siblings would guarantee Kraus's position as the successor. Talk about advance payment was being brought up again, despite having been rejected once. Of course, even without the story about the hidden gold, the Ushinomiya family's store of wealth was vast. That store of wealth alone was more than enough. Even if the hidden gold was buried along with Kinzo's death, there would be more than enough to satisfy. Therefore, even if they weren't that interested in the gold itself, Kinzo had managed to instill the lifelong fear that, on the off chance someone found the gold, that person would be granted the headship. And this kind of Achilles heel would definitely be taken advantage by someone, sooner or later. The only person with this fatal weakness was the successor, Kraus. The other siblings had found. No, they had been told by Kinzo about something that only Kraus could lose. They had thoroughly taken advantage of that. Ah, politics. Natsuhi, as Kraus's only ally in his painful position and as his wife, wanted to fight alongside him. He doesn't deserve you, ma'am. She kept trying to explain to him that the existence of the gold was a farce and that there was no need for him to compromise. Kraus had always told Natsuhi. He had told all of the siblings. He always said that the hidden gold was nothing more than an illusion created by Kinzo. But what if it isn't, though? Therefore, Natsuhi had believed it as his wife and had supported her husband on that foundation. Even so, Natsuhi's words didn't reach Kraus. Even though Natsuhi had fought so hard and had lent all of her strength, he continued to fight by himself and was trying to compromise with the other three siblings. Natsuhi sadly and weakly wondered why she could not be of use to him, then started getting angry. It had happened when everyone decided to take a short break to cool their heads. Natsuhi had flared up against Kraus. In rage, she had asked him why she could not be useful to him. He had then told her that he wanted to talk about something and invited her to enter into a room that she was normally not allowed to enter. The room had been sealed with a heavy-looking padlock, and just looking at it had given her an uncomfortable feeling. There's no need for you to worry about anything said by those three or even the suspicious person who calls herself Beatrice. After all, the gold is just a ruse created by Father. There's no way something like that could be found. Your position as the successor is a solid fact. What are you afraid of? Klaus removed the padlock on the door. He then motioned for Natsuhi to enter. Enter. What is this? There's something I want you to see. I've never shown you this before. Natsuhi timidly opened the door with a dubious expression on her face. It was pitch black. She searched for a switch to turn on the lights, but since this was her first time in the room, she didn't know where it was. Klaus entered behind her, pushing her in, and when he closed the door before turning on the lights, the two were swallowed up by the darkness. Only the sound of Klaus locking the door rang out through the dark. What are you doing? The lights! Morning, Jambola! I'm turning them on now. Wait. Just as he said, when Kraus pushed a switch on the wall, a flickering light turned on and lit up the room. That is... Natsuhi had her breath taken away. The room had no windows, and at a glance it appeared to be empty. In the middle of the room, a small round table had been set, and the lights brightened only that table, as if it were the leading part in a play. On top of the table, a red tablecloth of elaborate design had been set out, covered with dust. And on top of that, something about the size of a grown man's arm had been set down. Is it a gun? That something took Natsuhi's breath away. Whoa! So the gold is real. That's a huge ass piece of gold if it's about the length of someone's arm. It's a gold ingot of incredible purity. Without this, no one would have believed in the legend of the gold. It was an ingot of solid gold. Even in the faint light, it sparkled with a noble and dignified glint. This is not a proper ingot. I don't even know whether it was cast inside or outside the country. It took a high level of skill to make the purest of gold ingots, and in order to verify that purity, it was standard to have the original foundry and the name of the bank that guaranteed it imprinted on the gold. However, this ingot did not have that kind of seal. This mysterious gold bar had come from an unknown foundry. Look here. There's nothing to be afraid of. It's just a bar of gold. Natsuhi, following Kraus's words, timidly approached the ingot. Right here. Kraus pointed at the surface of the ingot. Natsuhi concentrated on that section. Right there was the thin imprint of the one-winged eagle crest. Natsuhi's breath was taken away once again. That's right. This is the legendary ingot that father said he received from the witch that the president of Maruso witnessed and was allowed to select at random to take back with him. That gained the trust of the fixers in the business world. I had to use all possible means to find it. I found it before the other siblings could. How could? Then, the legend of Father's gold is... It actually exists. The gold that Ushino Miya Kinzo received from Beatrice actually exists. Impossible! So, it really does exist? Natsuhi was shocked. Kraus had always said that Kinzo's gold was just a fabrication, so she had believed it as his wife. However, the reality was different. Since he held definitive proof, he had been more certain than any of the other siblings that the legend of the gold was true. Because of this, Kraus was deeply frightened at the possibility that someone other than himself would find the gold he'd failed to find, costing him everything. But to Natsuhi, this truth was more than enough to split her heart open. She had thought that as Kraus's wife, she should have been his closest confidant, which was why she had selflessly supported him. And yet, he had hid this fact from her until today. Why? Have I been so undeserving of your trust? That has never been my intention. There was simply no need to tell you. This is all a wife means to you? Calm down. Becoming passionate easily is one of your bad habits. You're the one who's making me like that, aren't you? I've been supporting you as a wife ever since I married into this family. For your sake, I threw away the family I was born into. And I've been offering up my heart and body to serve you. And in return, this is what I get? How could you? Kraus grimaced, looking annoyed. His expression effectively communicated how much he disliked this part of Natsuhi, even if he didn't say it out loud. Hello, Mexon. It doesn't look like I will be of any use to you anymore. That's fine. I can resolve the troubles with the siblings by myself. I don't need your help. That's wrong! This is the Ushino-miya family's problem. It's true that I am not permitted to wear the family crest on my body, but I am still your wife. Even so, are you saying I'm not capable of helping you? Are you? I especially wouldn't want to risk you getting involved. It would probably make your headaches even worse than they are now. Take a rest for today. The siblings will deal with the siblings' problems. It has nothing to do with you. That is all. A dull headache tormented Natsuki. No matter what medicine she took, no matter what scent she burned, it wouldn't heal. I think that's a brain tumor. You might wanna go get an MRI. In fact, simply wandering alone through the dark corridors and listening to the sound of the rain seemed to be a better cure. And hello, Kuro. I may be Natsuhi, but I was never
Ushinomiya Natsuki. I have been despised and treated as a borrowed womb, and insulted when I couldn't even fill that role. Even so, I have tried to properly perform my duties as a wife. But even now, my husband has rejected me. I've done my best raising my daughter as if it were the last job left me. However, I've had no release for my anger and sadness, and they've caused me to subconsciously strain that relationship too. Because I've been excessively strict in Jessica's education, she dislikes me thoroughly. She despises me for having no interest in anything but grades. There is no longer anything I can do for the Ushinomiya family. Have I changed something about my eyes? No. I'm the same as always. No, that's no good. Despite it all, I must help my husband and beat back the schemes of the other greedy siblings. What could possibly go wrong? The family head won't be around much longer. Eventually, Kraus will succeed the head, and the next successor will be Jessica. Strictly speaking, the man who enters the family by marrying Jessica will become the next head, but it all comes to the same thing. I have to make Jessica an excellent successor, whom everyone will accept as worthy to take over the Ushinomiya family. Don't eat copper, kids? Yeah, don't do that. In the days to come, the greedy Ushinomiya Eva will probably be plotting to find some fault with the main family. And if all goes as she plans, Jessica will be dragged down from the succession, and George set up in her place. It is regrettable, but George is a man, and even more, has matured as a person. Compared to Jessica, who is in the right of the middle of her rebellious phase, and whose grades are slightly below average, it can be seen at a glance who is more fit to succeed the head. So, in order to secure Jessica's position, I need to turn her into an excellent person. After doing that, I want to find her an excellent husband worthy of the excellent person she will have become. Can't marry for love. Oh no, can't marry for love. A wonderful man who will truly accept Jessica and stay with her through all of life's joys and sorrows. But what if she wants a girl? Was Natsuhi trying to entrust her daughter with fulfilling some desire of her own? Probably. Natsuhi thought back to the days when she'd had no choice but to marry into the Ushinomiya family because of that unavoidable fate. She had tried to block that from her memory. She had consciously forgotten it and had actively attended to the life she'd been given as Ushinomiya Natsuhi. And in doing, she had built up a new life. But just now, it felt like all of that had been casually rejected. How should I think as I live my life? I do not know. Natsuhi helplessly rested her head against the glass of the window. The glass, which was cool thanks to the raindrops beating against it, felt somehow refreshing. Even though it should have been emotionless, right then it seemed to be the only thing that could understand Natsuhi. Even at that point, even if someone had appeared, Natsuhi didn't intend to pay any attention to them.
But she did pay attention. Because it was her beloved daughter. Oh, it's you, Mom. What the heck are you doing in a place like this? Thought you were a ghost. Just like always, her words were rough and not at all like a girl's. Instinctively, words of rebuke rose to Natsuhi's throat. However, their strength gave out, and they did escape her lips. Jessica, forgive me, but my headache is awful. Please leave me be. I see. Jessica was seeing her mother in a position of feebleness for the first time, so she was considerably disconcerted. Until just now, she'd been filled with contempt for all of the parents, including her mother. But now, those feelings had been completely swept away. Her mother's utterly exhausted face had wiped them all out. In its place, the words George had told her floated back up in her mind. Our parents are doing their best in their own way. And because their families are counting on them, they can't afford to keep everything pleasant and have a heavy responsibility to fight. Maybe her mother had been standing around in this dimly lit hallway because no one had tried to understand that part of her. Jessica hated her mother, so she had no intention of speaking kindly to Natsuhi just because she was looking a bit frail. So when she attempted to speak kindly to her mother anyway, she had to clench her fists and gather up the words from deep in her heart. It sounds like you've really got your hands full with that meeting thing. It has nothing to do with you. Please go somewhere else. Is your headache bad? Should I go get some medicine? You don't have to trouble yourself. Please, leave me alone. Natsuhi wasn't being cold. She just wanted her daughter to go far away so she wouldn't have to bump against Natsuhi's own short temper. But there was no chance that Jessica would realize this. Oh, okay. Jessica hung her head, looking sad. Seeing that expression, Natsuhi recognized the kindness that Jessica was trying to muster. She gave her head a small shake to drive away her own unkind feelings. Then I'll leave. I'll be with the other cousins, so I don't get in the way of the adults. See you later. Wait there. She called Jessica, who was trying to leave and looked lonely, to a stop. What? Thank you for being so considerate. It isn't good of me to go to sleep and leave you alone. Don't talk like that. You'll bring bad luck. I've made you worried. But I'm okay now. I will go. If I let my daughter see me this feeble any longer, I'd only make her feel more uneasy. With that thought in mind, Natsuhi left Jessica with words of gratitude and made to depart. This time, Jessica called out to her mother's back. Natsuhi stopped and turned around, asking what business Jessica had with her. But Jessica herself didn't know why she'd stopped her mother, and for a while, she smiled wryly, muttering to herself as she hesitated over what to say. She was poking around in her pocket when her hand touched something, and she took it out. Hey Mom! I was, given a charm today. What was it, a charm against magic? I'm pretty sure that you were supposed to hang it from your doorknob, I think. I forget. There's no point in me having it, so I'll let you take it. It was the scorpion charm that Maria had given her on the beach. Although she'd heard of its various effects from Maria, Jessica's mind had gone blank, and she was just barely able to say even that much. Jessica, thinking that her mother probably wouldn't accept it anyway, immediately drew back the hand she had stuck out, grasping the charm. So when Natsuki came back to take it, she was extremely shocked. What is this? Some kind of prize toy? Well, I think it's something like that. I guess you wouldn't expect a charm like that looks like a toy to do anything. But her mother took the charm from where she grasped it in her hand. Thank you. I'll take good care of it. Sometime soon in exchange. Why don't I give you a charm that was important to me when I was a child? It's not like that's why I gave it to you. But, well, if you really say so, then I will rest for now. My headache is awful. Try not to stay up too late. Sure. Natsuki put the charm in her pocket and turned away. She then disappeared into the dark hallway. Oh no, mother and daughter reconciling? Something bad's gonna happen. Nothing good can come of that. Big stretch. I guess this is as good a place to pause as any. I feel like these chapters are much longer compared to what I've seen in Higurashi. So I might as well pick a spot that's good while I can. I'm like, good grief! There hasn't even been any murdering yet. There we go. Blah. Making some good progress, though. We're starting to really get a grasp of these characters. So, tomorrow is a break day for me, but we will be playing more UMINEKO on Tuesday. What are the days of the week? Amalia's... Ooh, Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Catch a tiger by the toe. If he hollers, let him go. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Yeah, let's go see Perry. She's playing Elden Ring Night Rain. It all blurs together anyways. So true. So true. Alrighty, so that'll be it for me. Let's go say hi to Perry while they're doing new Elden Ring. And here is Discord if we've got any lurkers who want to join. Tonight, in about 3 hours, we are going to be watching some more Prince of Tennis in the Discord. We're trying to get up to about episode 50, and then we're going to take a break because Prince of Tennis is a long series, and then we'll probably watch something shorter. Some people were asking about Pop Team Epic, so that seems good. A good comedy. It's absolutely chaos, but it is delightful. I love Pop Team Epic. Alrighty. That's going to be it for me then. So, if it's daytime where you are, have a wonderful rest of your day. And if it's nighttime, have a great rest when you head off to bed. Those of you who are going to watch Prince of Tennis with us, I will see you later. But for now, that's it for me. Take care of yourselves, wash your face, brush your teeth, eat good food, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye! Bye-bye!
my schedule is gonna go up in a moment. I posted it in the Discord yesterday, but I haven't put it on social medias yet. So look out for that if you're not in the Discord. Okay, bye.